Hello and welcome, kiddies! This time on Superhero Stuff You Should Know, your old Uncle Joker is taking over the asylum. So, with me today, we have, as always, our dear Ben and Andrewicus as my co-host.
Yes,
Indeedicus.
Yes. We decided to bring on the man who knows too much about Batman merchandise, as we found out after we brought him on as a co-host. So this has been awesome to find out, and this is also fulfilling a fan request from Jared P.
Nice.
Andrew here, everybody, and yes, we finally put that boy to work. Can't
no
wait.
more thumbnails.
We reached your limit. You reached your limit, huh? All right.
And to help me out with this week's episode, I brought on one of my best friends, Robert Oden Jr. So, Robert, if you would, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what your credentials are for this episode.
For my credentials, I guess I was a child, and I played with a lot of toys. So
I liked Batman and shit.
I think that's kind of obvious. But yeah,
All right, we'll bring you on to the podcast then. That's enough.
But I customize action figures in my spare time. It's just something I've always been passionate about. And it was also, I guess, kind of a way as an adult for me to feel like it's still playing with toys, but, you know, it's a little more adult playing with toys.
Nice. Your last name is Odin?
That's
badass.
It's a little different, but it sounds the same. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Close enough.
I thought you were Thor's dad, man.
All right, well, now we've heard a little bit from Robert, and you got to see some stuff from Ben and Andrew, unfortunately. So we're actually going to be moving on. Maybe not Ben, definitely Andrew. We're going to be moving on and discussing one of my favorite topics today, and that is Kenner's Batman runs. So I'm going to switch on over here. So we can see this awesome artwork. This is actually by an artist I'm friends with on Instagram, Logan Wood. He does a lot of composite kind of collages from the box artwork from different Kenner lines. Mm-hmm. And he's a big fan of mainly like the Burton era action figures, as well as the Batman Forever action figures too. But I just thought that, you know, he gave me the go-ahead to use his artwork for my thumbnail and from some other slides I've got on here. So, you know, big shout out to Logan for being cool with this, because I really do. I like seeing all this stuff together. That box art from that era is just so cool. You just don't see anything like that
Who's the artist? Do you know?
The artist for the artwork, I cannot think of their name right now.
Okay.
He actually did. Logan sent me some other work of his that was like just some separated Batman and Robin artwork. And I've looked at his stuff before, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. I know it's definitely the same guy from, I believe, Returns to like Batman and Robin. I don't think the artwork from the Dark Knight collection is the same guy, but yeah, you can definitely see a continuation through those three movie lines.
I also see that it's called the Multiverse of Kenner. I'm sure you're going to get into that a little bit.
Sure. This is actually from Logan's artwork, so I think maybe his multiverse was considering maybe the Dark Knight collection mixed with the Batman Returns collection, but yeah, we'll take a look at it. So just like Ben said, he was surprised that I was such a big, I would say I'm just a big fan of Kenner's Batman toys. I don't know if I'm truly an expert, but I did do a lot of research going into this episode.
That's why Robert's here, bro.
That's right. I brought on my own expert.
Yes.
Andrew said I don't bring on anybody that's an expert on anything, which I hadn't even had a chance to host yet. So low blow. But
I was just messing around, man.
Now you're gonna have to eat those words.
Eat those words. Yeah.
But we are gonna jump back to the beginning, and that's actually in 1984, and we're gonna hop on over here and look at the Kenner Superpowers line.
Yeah.
So these are pretty famous. This is.
I had that Robin.
You have the Robin?
Yes. Does not look as good as in this picture anymore, but yeah.
Those fleshy legs.
Yep.
Yeah, I never had any of these figures as a kid except for the Joker from the Superpowers line, and I actually found that with my grandpa at not a flea market but a yard sale. And I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. He just looked like a classic comic book Joker. But yeah, this is a line that pretty much started it all. So it's 1984, and Mego was the last toy company that owned the rights to any DC characters. And they had like the big dolls and stuff like that. And kind of like, I remember Batman and Robin had the big plasticky gloves.
I'm going to save us a bunch of comments right now. I think it's pronounced Mego.
Yeah. Mego. There you go. That's why I brought on Robert and Andrew. Of course, I can trust to correct me.
You brought me on for pronunciation.
I brought on Andrew. There you go.
I could just feel the internet whenever you said that, so it's just like, okay.
Mego. There you go. Yeah. We'll just edit that out. I never made that mistake.
No. It's cool. It's cool.
It stays.
This is a really great classic look here, though. These are all awesome.
Yeah, they definitely are like the classic versions of those comic book characters from the time. So I do think that's really cool. And I love the Brainiac figure being silver and like his robot body and that kind of transparent top. So he is really cool.
Also looks like Darkseid has a cape.
It is, yeah. He's very, he's a little classier this go around. So yeah, Kenner got the rights to produce DC Comics characters, all plastic dolls, and they're 5 inches in scale. And as part of
action figures, bro.
Action figures. Hey, I'm just reading off of my research, okay? We call them action figures. What are they? Little girls' playthings.
I'm gonna have you find and replace every mention of the word doll.
I think that might be the only one. So each figure, as the name would imply from the Superpowers collection, had a secret superpower that would trigger when the figure's arms or legs were squeezed. I think Robin in particular has like a karate chop action, I think, when you squeeze his legs together.
Yeah,
so I do think that's pretty cool that they all have a little action. I remember there was actually a Two-Face figure from the line that could like flip a coin. It was a giant coin for him, like the size of a pizza, and he could flip it if you did squeeze him.
I feel like that was because it was so small that you would lose it, so they had to make it a huge coin.
Yeah, just like the Batman Forever one.
Yeah.
When you press on Robin's crotch, he will say, "The Catholic League was wrong."
Oh, we got to get a Burt Ward. Yeah, we got to get a Burt Ward dick joke in here, of course.
It's funny because I grew up with this Robin with my Michael Keaton Batman, and I always thought that it was part of the same line. So it was always this weird contrast of like my Keaton Batman with like this Robin who's very traditional looking with the green Speedo and the bare legs and elf shoes. So I'm like, even at like 4, I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, he's there to draw fire away from Batman.
You're the target, Robin.
So Kenner actually produced three different superpowers lines for all these figures, and they entered production before creating some rumored figures that we're going to take a look at. So these figures never actually saw the light of day, which I think is pretty cool to look at right now. You've got Catwoman, an extremely flamboyant Man-Bat, who's borrowed Hulk's pants, Clark Kent, Quadrex, who I've never heard of, but I probably would have liked him as a kid. He looks cool. And Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is cool. Classic Catwoman as well with the purple.
Yeah.
Now, is that Swamp Thing a prototype, or is that from the Swamp Thing line that came out later? Because it looks very similar to the Kenner figure that came out.
Yeah, it could be that they used that prototype to create that figure, because as far as I know, these are all just kind of prototypes that were never produced, and it looks like Catwoman was actually the Batman Returns one. Her body may have been modeled off of the original Catwoman slightly, as you can see from that one picture down there with the tail sticking up. So I did think that was cool.
Recolor it, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, definitely the head looks a little bit different, but I just think it's cool to get a chance to look at these unproduced figures, because Man-Bat would have been a really interesting choice for back then, considering all the other classic characters from the even like the TV show that it was combined with.
Let's paint an oral picture real quick for the podcast listeners too.
Yes, that's right. We are using a lot of imagery here. So the reason I said Man-Bat is very flamboyant is that he is a kind of a magenta color, a very dark wine, I guess reddish purple for his skin. He has a beautiful magenta metallic pants, and he's got brown wings, brown fur around his neck, and a brown kind of like a crew cut, and his mouth is kind of spread apart. it looks very monstrous compared to his body. So
Also,
it's pretty
both
cool.
of his hands are up as if he's just being like, "Hey, what's up?"
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting looking. And Catwoman, like we said, is the classic costume. She's all purple with her long elbow-length black gloves, and she's got some boots on. She's got a cool tail. Clark Kent looks really boring. He just looks like
Clark
a
Kent. Yeah.
Clark Kent figure, pretty much, blue suit.
Yeah.
Quadrex is a really cool-looking guy. He looks like a Mortal Kombat character.
That's true.
He's got four arms. He's got kind of a aqua and blue motif going on with his costume.
He looks like if Goro was one of the Mortal Kombat ninjas.
Yes, he does.
You know, it's like a combination of those kind of things for sure.
Yeah, and Swamp Thing
And
just
they
like
made it with a crab.
yes,
Yeah.
and just like Robert said, Swamp Thing looks pretty much like the figures that they came out with later, even though it's just a prototype. So he's pretty no neck looking, very stocky. And he does
The
look
shade of his
pretty cool.
green is a little brighter than I would expect too on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was product of its time, I think.
Yeah, actually, yeah, very much so. So
I think
during
the Clark Kent pick one is pretty boring, and I wonder how many actual Clark Kent toys there have ever been. You know, it's such a strange
Yeah.
choice. But I can kind of see myself as a kid with like a toy phone booth if they ever made that. Like have him go into the phone booth and then have, you know, the toy Superman come out of it or something.
Yeah, it's harder to make him a transforming figure like Batman.
Yeah.
You know, because you got to deal with the glasses and how do you deal with the suit, and it was like, how does that work?
I know there is a couple like kind of like quick change Clark Kent figures from the kind of like the Superman the Animated Series toy line, part of the Batman Superman Adventures, and I think he has like a whole casing of Superman's body that goes around him, if I'm not mistaken.
It's,
you're gonna
it's
need
like a
something like that.
rubbery sleeve, and it's completely open in the back, like it doesn't close. So it's just like,
Yeah,
hope nobody walks around to the back of him.
his skin suit. It is really weird.
Oh man.
Everyone
gotta-
just thought I just hid it under my shirt and just ripped my shirt open. It's actually a lot more complicated than that.
He's like a werewolf on Hemlock Grove. He just has to rip his skin off every time that he's turning back into Clark Kent.
Oh man.
All right, so we've looked at these kind of cool unproduced figures, these prototypes, but during its time in the market, the Superpowers collection managed to release action figures of Batman, Robin, the Joker, the Penguin, and Mr. Freeze, as well as several other DC figures of DC Comics characters. This is kind of cool. I want to show you guys the Joker that I had as a kid. This he's got a cool little hammer and stuff to smack Batman and others over the head with.
It's foreshadowing of Harley Quinn's mallet.
That's true, yeah. And
right.
it's Neil Adams' artwork on the box art for those listeners on the podcast. So I don't know. I love the art on these. It's very, the box is like primary colors. It's like blue, red, and yellow. And you got the Neil Adams art for Joker and
classic,
Batman. Yeah. Very
I see
exciting.
Batman comes with a free Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted Clark Kent.
That's
Yeah.
right. He's free.
But they didn't release him though, right?
That's
No,
right.
I think he did actually come out. He's super rare because he was a mail-in offer.
Oh shit.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm curious what kid is like, I got this Batman action figure, but I could also get Clark Kent. I really want that. I'm like,
Hey,
maybe
somebody-
skip the Clark Kent.
somebody wanted him. One of those kids did. Here's our other figures that I was talking about. So they did produce, of course, Robin, Penguin, and Mr. Freeze. This Penguin is one of my favorite figures ever. And as we'll talk about, of course, he was repainted and his articulation was taken away from his knees for the Batman Returns line. I always noticed that he can't bend his knees in the Batman Returns figure, but
Fuck that shit.
I just love it. I love his blue jacket. I love his little primary color umbrella. Like, I don't know, it's such a classic Penguin figure. But Mr. Freeze looks stupid. I just always think this figure looks really dumb. He doesn't have white skin either at this point. He's just kind of fleshy colored. But he does look like this in the Superpowers TV show, if I'm thinking of the right name.
He looks like he has a helmet within a helmet.
It does. I think it's got a
This
little
toy.
kind of squared off face to it. All I remember is in the cartoon for like the Superpowers Batman and Robin cartoon, it's like they're introducing all of Batman's villains and it's like the cool, cruel Mr. Freeze, and he just has this like staunch look on his face. But for the people at home, if you've never seen this figure, he's got white sleeves and white legs. He's got like kind of a indigo, like a light indigo chest plate and gloves and boots, and he's got these weird red pieces on his costume. I think he actually had guns. He actually had guns at the time that would pull out like a cowboy, like little holsters on the side, and they had hoses that would attach to his back, so they are like freeze guns. But I don't know, it's something about
freeze guns were, yeah.
Yeah, that's something about his color scheme. He just doesn't jibe with me. He seems kind of lame compared to future Mr. Freeze figures.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of boring, yeah. It's just not exciting design.
I would definitely want the Penguin over the Mr. Freeze on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Robin and Penguin are definitely my favorites. I do have both figures in the box, and these figures in the box actually have a different card art. I wish I had put a picture of it up, but it's golden. And it's not Neil Adams artwork. I'm looking at him now, but it's like similar to the box art for the Toy Biz Batman line. So we'll actually take a look at that.
So your favorite is Robin and Penguin out of this whole line, or just out of these three?
I think out of these three, I definitely would say Penguin out of the whole line is one of my favorites.
More than Batman?
Well, yeah, I like Batman too, but so my grandpa is a huge Penguin fan, and he always collected different Penguin figures. So a lot of the Batman toys that I had as a kid came from him, and me collecting stuff came from him. And I remember that I went to Disney World at like 6 years old, and when I came back, my grandparents picked us up from the airport, and my grandpa gave me this figure. It was the blue coated like penguin. And I just thought that was so cool. So yeah, I don't know, something about it. It's just like a kind of a nostalgic connection to him that I always liked this figure a lot.
That's cool.
All right, so we'll take a look. This is also the Batmobile from that toy line, which is pretty cool. I'm sure it was modeled after one of the comics in the cartoon from the time, that Superpowers cartoon, but I like the orange bubbles on it. It's kind of like the 66 Batmobile with the disconnected bubbles, but I like that translucent orange plastic that I know Robert's a fan of as well.
Yep. Anything translucent I'm obsessed with, or glow in the dark. a real product of my time.
Yes.
So yeah, it looks like the 66 one, but mostly blue, and it's and
it's also got sort of the illustration or silhouette of the bat cowl on the front.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's part of the grill.
Yeah, so
this
cool.
This one's really cool, and they also had a Batcopter as well, which I did not have a picture of, but I did want to show the art for the Batmobile where they were just shoveling up Joker's ass. I guess Joker was already out there breaking up rocks. I like to assume that Batman and Robin are just kind of like tormenting him while he's already in prison. You know, he's out there busting up rocks, and they just come through and shovel him up with this kind of like, what do they call that? A cow?
Cowcatcher.
Cowcatcher on the front of the Batmobile. So
oh my god,
that's how Batman and Robin.
I attached it to the Batmobile just for this.
Yes.
Both Robin and Joker seem to be loving this.
Yes.
Batman's not into it, but the other two.
I'll do it if you want me to, but it's kind of weird you two are into this.
Stopping you from killing people.
This is just how Batman deals with all of his criminals. He just runs them over with his car.
Permanent lower back injury.
There you go, yeah.
For Joker.
Still not killing him.
And here's the Batcopter. I did have some pictures of it as well. So the Batcopter, I'll say later, is actually it's repainted for the Dark Knight Collection line. So I thought that's cool. But I like the artwork down here at the bottom. It's the back of the box where you can see that you can actually capture the Penguin with the Batcopter. So I always love those pictures on the back where it's kind of a demonstration like, hey, here's how to play with this dummy. You know, showing you what you're supposed to do with the toy.
The Batcopter's never been in live action except for 66, right?
Yeah, the 66 movie.
Yeah.
He has no need for that when he's got the Batwing, but
yeah, pretty much.
I guess so. It's too slow.
Yeah, I don't know.
Compared to the Batwing.
It's really cool.
It's
I think
a little noisy too, I would say.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I guess so.
Definitely would have been a cool toy for a kid.
It's cool.
And of course, I just wanted to highlight the main man himself, since we are talking about Kenner's Batman toy lines. This is the original Superpowers Batman figure, and he just looks great. I love like the classic colors on him. The one to the left, that picture specifically, I think I may have a picture of it up here, but if I don't, the original Toy Biz advertisement for their Batman '89 line had a version of the Superpowers Batman figure. He was just painted black. So they just kind of reuse that figure only for the advertisements, not for the actual figure itself. But I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked kind of familiar.
Oh, yeah. So this is, it's a spectacular figure. I know it's one of Robert's favorites. And yeah, it's just so classy. I love having the blue and gray. So yeah, I think
this is great.
Awesome.
Maybe wrapping it up. And as I was saying earlier, it's the cartoon show is Super Friends. So the Superpowers collection is actually, I know a lot of the visuals are taken from that TV show. So that's what I was trying to think of, the Super Friends. I've got a couple episodes of that on like a VHS, and that was from the 70s. So you could see they were still pulling a lot of the designs and color schemes and everything from that TV show, even in 1984.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because that was the main source of media for Batman at that time, was the Super Friends show, the Superpowers team, and that type of stuff. It's been a while since we did the Adam West show, and the '89 movie hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, that's what kids would be seeing at the time, so that definitely does make sense.
The cape that clips on here, I had
classic.
some toys like this, and that was sadly always the first thing you'd lose as a kid,
Look at this, Andrew. I know you
got them? Do you have it?
Well, I know you.
Nice.
I know you really like the scuba diving one. This is Arctic Batman. We'll talk about him later, but yes.
I'm just going to do a little bit of this real quick. Let me see it.
There you go. Thanks.
I have expanded his screen. Okay,
There we
that is
go.
cool.
Nice.
And
Okay,
of
so
course,
he's got like this.
The clip-on cape is a must for these figures. I love it. There's actually a place
That's
in
awesome.
Raleigh that me and Robert would go to all the time. It was Cro-Mag Toys. Cro-Mag Toys, if you're listening, I did steal a couple of Batman capes from the loose figures because I wanted some capes for mine because, yes, they do get lost. They're the first things to go.
Cro-Mag Toys?
Yeah, they're in Raleigh. They used to be
Wow.
at the Raleigh Fairground Flea Market, but now they just have one location in Raleigh. But highly
That
recommend
promotes
them.
evolution, man.
That's
I
right.
don't like that kind of stuff.
I would highly recommend them. They got a lot of cool stuff. But now we're going to move on to the most important year in history. And that's 1989.
The year of our Lord.
That's right. So, as for many of us, our love affair with Batman possibly did start with Tim Burton's Batman film of 1989. And so did the toy line that is not Kenner. All right? I'm here to bust your bubble. So the very first toy line involved with Batman 89 is, in fact, Toy Biz. So, we're going to talk about him a little bit. I do like these figures, but once we get to the Dark Knight collection, we'll see how much the sculpts were improved upon as it got back to Kenner. So let's take a look at these. These are some of our Toy Biz
Classic.
Batman figures.
Yep, I grew up with this Keaton Batman with the utility belt that pulls out as if it's like the grappling hook in a way, which is in hindsight is just super weird. But I still have it. The cape is still there, but it's the emblem that got worn off. He has no emblem anymore.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have a bunch of these figures. I just love the zip cord little combat belt that he's got on him. So I was going to say that the reason Toy Biz is actually doing this line is once Kenner shut down production of their Superpowers collection, Toy Biz was granted the license to DC characters, and their first use of the license was to in fact produce the figures inspired by Tim Burton's Batman film. So that's why Kenner did not get the first shot at doing action figures for this specific toy line. And as you can see, there was only 3 figures. You really just have Jack Nicholson's Joker, which was in fact a bit of a retooling of the Superpowers Joker body with
it doesn't look like Jack.
Yeah, with more of a generic face for Joker. It does not look like Jack Nicholson. And you also have the most important figure in the toy line, which is Bob the Goon.
I never had that one. I had these other 2, though, for sure.
I love the Bob the Goon figure. He's got a karate kick action, and he never stands
can't
upright.
kick.
He never stands upright. I don't know how they took these pictures because mine has to sit down because his leg is constantly up. He's cocking it up like he's a dog, taking a piss. So he just cannot stand upright, and I would lose Joker and Bob's hats immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I can
that's
see
for
that.
sure.
Joker did have this cool squirting flower thing though. So there was
Yes.
a little yellow pump with a tube that feeds into his back. You can fill it up with water and actually squirt water out of his lapel flower, which is a really cool feature that I wish more Joker figures had. I think it's cool playability, and it's like you can act out the movie.
It was in the commercial, right? I sort of remember that.
Yep, it was in one of the commercials we looked at actually.
Yeah.
Now, Batman, so like the Joker and Bob, they got the fedoras, and Bob's got the huge machete. Batman's got the detachable, not really detachable, but the belt that pulls out. And he's also holding something in the pictures.
He's holding a Beretta. He's ready to take down the Joker's goons the only way he knows how, and that's permanently. It's actually supposed to be a batarang and a grapple gun, so that might be a grapple gun, but he did have a batarang he could hold as well.
Mm.
Bob the Goon's only $60, man. In
Only
the box.
In the box.
In the
Holy
box.
shit. I can't imagine.
pretty
How
good.
is he that? I don't understand how he could ever be that expensive.
I
because
have-
I feel like I see him all the time. As a kid,
Yes.
I somehow ended up with 2 of them.
Really?
Yes, like he was just
yeah.
everywhere.
Wow. I did not have him.
Andrew, don't get ripped off. I have seen that figure in the box for $10 at Pro Mag. Don't pay $60 for Bob.
Oh, I'm not. I just
good.
think it's funny.
I just think it is funny too that he's like one of the only other figures. I guess they were like, well, there's only one good guy and one bad guy, so we're gonna also give him a little henchman to fight. So
We
this
decided
wasn't.
not to do a Vicky Vale figure,
Yeah,
Alexander Knox figure, Harvey Dent figure.
it just wouldn't
Alexander
sell.
Knox.
Well, I'm
got a
not
bad
sure
tie.
exactly when they happened, but Toy Biz did a few other DC figures. They did a version of the Flash, which I guess would kind of coincide with maybe the TV show coming out. There was a Riddler, and I believe the Two-Face you mentioned is actually from that line.
Yeah, there was a number of lines for superpowers. I think Riddler and Two-Face might have come out in the second or third wave. I didn't include pictures of them, but yes, I do have the Riddler one as well. It's like they are based on like the classic comic book looks
But
of that time.
the Toy Biz actually re-released those figures as well. Yeah, like on these gold cards.
That must be what I have in my room then. So Robert, I'm glad you corrected me. So the ones in my room, the Toy Biz re-released, they are DC Comics superheroes figures. So they came after the Superpowers line. So yeah, they are like a Toy Biz re-release. And that version of the Penguin is a slightly different sculpt. I noticed that because I've actually looked at the Superpowers one next to the Superheroes Penguin, and the Superheroes one is slightly smaller. But yeah, you're right. They re-released some of those. So those are the ones I have. They're probably not as expensive, actually.
Oh.
So who knows? But yeah, you are right about that, the re-release. So that's why I brought Robert on. I can only do so much research, and I'm glad he's catching it. And as you can see from this picture here, there was actually multiple sculpts of Batman's head. I don't know why they couldn't quite get it right. Apparently one of these is supposed to be in Keaton's likeness. I don't know which one that is. There's a square. Okay, so they are categorized as square jaw, rounded jaw, and big lip. All right, Internet, don't get mad at me. That's just what they were
What's the fourth
referred
one?
to as. The fourth one, I think, is supposed to be Keaton himself.
Okay.
So the one at the
guess I could see
bottom,
that.
kind of maybe on the bottom left, could be Keaton. The only difference I see between him and the one on the right is the one on the right kind of has cat eye painted shape. So they're, and maybe a slightly shorter
different,
nose. Yeah, so either way, they are cool figures, but it's like they really couldn't nail down that likeness very much, unfortunately. Now, I think we have talked about Toy Biz enough. So I'm ending Toy Biz with this image where I just thought it was funny. I don't know where I found it, but it's got Robin is
Swoosh.
yes, it is. Robin is his toy action figure of Robin is tied up in rope, and he's in the trunk of the Batmobile from '89, and Batman's back is to us. So
That's where he was in that movie.
That's right. He's in the
Yeah.
trunk, locked away, not to bother anybody. So we're leaving Toy Biz behind in the dust, and we're moving on to, of course, Kenner's beautiful Dark Knight collection. Now, this unfortunately did not come out in time for 1989's Batman. Like I said, Toy Biz had the first license for that. So these figures did not actually come out until 1990, a good year after the movie had already been released. But the appetite was still pretty strong for any toys related to the film at the time. And this also is the beginning of the variants. So I'm not talking about Loki. I'm talking about the costumed variants of Batman. They really gave you a lot of bang for your buck with this one mold of Batman with all the different costumes. And again,
I remember as a kid, I was like, "This is not in the movie, but I like it." You know,
it could be an adventure that happened before or after the movie or something. Like I always like the ones that seem like they could work in the film, which is what we'll talk about when we get to Batman Returns. There's like 2 of them that I think are like, oh, this could actually work within the environments of the film. So yeah, I always think that's kind of a cool idea, just to put Batman in different environments.
I always preferred the ones that look closer to the film. I always thought that, I don't know, it never felt real to me when it was just like, here's this green Batman. I'm just like, Batman's not in green. I don't want that.
There actually was a number of just black suited Batman figures, which did have alterations to them. Some had actions that they could do with 1 arm or 2. So that is interesting you said that, because they did produce quite a few figures that were still the kind of film black costumes. So go ahead and take a look at those. This is some cool advertisement artwork for the first Batman Dark Knight collection toy line. And I love the tagline. We saw this on the commercials, but it's Batman as you've never seen him before. So I always think that's really funny. It's like, well, I've seen Batman on the screen, but these toys definitely look better than the Toy Biz ones. And they definitely nailed Keaton's likeness. So
yeah, a lot better.
Yeah, the only wish I had was that they could make the Joker figure in the classic colors of the costume that they did on the film, but I guess they had already done that for the Toy Biz.
He looks a little Romero-ish when it comes to the coloring.
He does a little bit.
I never thought about that. That's, really.
Yeah, I do still like him a lot. I like that he's got the helicopter backpack thing. I just think that's kind of a cool feature that, of course, he does ride in a helicopter in the film, but he never actually has a personal helicopter on his backpack.
He could have escaped the helicopter. He could have escaped his death at the end of the movie if he had.
That's right. Yeah, he could have been flying around, swinging that gargoyle, hitting people on the street with his little helicopter backpack. And you do have this awesome Joker cycle as well, with his face on the front. It screams Joker to me. That he has his ego right at the front of that motorcycle, and I think it does fire off, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, in 1990, Kenner produced their first Batman-centric line of action figures with the Dark Knight. Each figure in this collection has some sort of gimmick, usually related to the suit, which bore figures such as Tech Shield Batman and Thunder Whip Batman. I like that. He can just whip the shit out of Joker. Each toy was loaded with new accessories and suit enhancements, but by this point, actual variations in design, coloring, or molds are all but non-existent, and the only differences to be found would be in the packaging of the figures, which we'll look at in a second as well. Some cards in this line simply say The Dark Knight, while others are branded for the 1989 film. And as we were talking about with these variants, these are just a couple that I wanted to put up here. You got the classic Batman on the far left in his costume that he wears on film, all black, golden belt. Then you have this really awesome, I think this is Iron Winch Batman, that has like a more dark, muted version of the comic book colors, where it's like a navy blue for the accents, and he has kind of a warm gray for the bodysuit. Then you got another one that's got like a dark blue bodysuit, but still a navy blue with the rest of the accents. Then you have this other one that's got a gold bodysuit. So they did a couple of these, like a gold, a copper one, and just a lot of different varieties of colors. So Batman
I don't
has
know
to wear
why,
different colors.
but I had the gold one. I had
Everybody
maybe
did.
the black one too. Yeah, it's just you just got whatever you could get, when you're a kid at this age.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I had more variety is just from like my parents and grandparents taking me to the flea market all the time.
Yeah.
So I would be like seeing all these different loose Batman figures and, snatching them up. So I did think this was cool. I didn't include this in the presentation, but the idea of producing Batman in different costumed colors actually came from a comic book, which I think we've talked about before, Ben, which is like the multiple costumes of Batman. where he wore the different colors. I guess I can't remember what his motivation was, but it's like he had to wear a different color costume each night, something like that. But I remember the toy line, they were trying to find ways to, capitalize on the same mold. And somebody actually showed them the comic book where Batman has different color costumes, and that's where they got the idea to start producing variants.
Are you talking
Batman.
about the Silver Age one, or are we
Yeah.
talking about the... Okay, all right. Because there's
that
also
Silver
something
Age
called,
one.
I think, the Dark Knight Gallery, where he kind of has a sketchbook of stuff, but it's also stuff that ties into actual action figures that were sold, so there was kind of a tie-in there, whereas
Yeah.
it seems like it's his sketchbook of all the different costumes he needs, but it actually ties into the book, to the toys that you can get.
Yeah, no, this one I'm thinking of the Silver Age one, because it's like he's putting on a pink costume, I think, on the front, and he's got his other costumes
Robin's
in the
like, but
background.
Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds awesome.
So without that comic,
Reeves,
we may never
the
have all
Batman
these. Yeah, without that comic, we may never have all these wonderful variants of Batman.
That's cool.
Kenner would not have made as much money. I also wanted to show this too. This was like some of the what you would call like the role playing toys that Kenner would produce. It's kind of like a costume. So I always thought this was really cool. So you've got a kid in both ads. One of them, he's got like a utility belt that's got a gun on it. Like I said, Batman's taking him out.
Freeze ray weapon.
There you go.
So he stole that from Mr. Freeze.
That's right. He didn't exist yet, but he stole it from him. This is a crime control set. So he's controlling crime by shooting the criminals. He's got a walkie-talkie, binoculars, everything you need to fight crime. And the other one is a Batman armor set. So you get a Batman mask, a Batman torso, like an armor piece. I actually had this as a kid. Nice. It was hard plastic, and he had like Velcro straps on the back to strap it on. And you also had a glove, like a gauntlet, that would shoot out little Batman missiles. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So him having this gun here, I think I had this, but when you're this young, you're not super familiar with the rules of Batman. And the '89 movie doesn't really say I'm against guns. You know what I mean?
Oh no.
So, yeah, I mean, as a kid especially, it's just like, yeah, cool, Batman gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's got Batman's logo on the side, so it's his.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's I don't know if you have a picture of it, but in this range of things, there was I believe it was called a Sonic Blaster that they released. Mm-hmm. That it was just a repainted, retooled version of the Imperial Stormtrooper blaster.
Oh yeah.
And they just stuck a little bat logo on the front of it, did the whole thing in black, put some orange tips on it.
Yeah, Robert, I don't have a picture of it, but I'm actually looking at it right now. I have it in the box. It's I think, or at least this one's called a Batarang Blaster, and it comes with like a Batarang on the front of it, so maybe a slightly different toy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's kind of cool too. It basically looks like this gun, but it has a Batarang that you attach to the front of it, and it shoots out. So that's kind of cool. It's like his grappling gun or Batarang gun. So a lot of these Kenner figures featured a clip-on backpack of some kind, just like we talked about the helicopter backpack for Joker, and Batman had a couple backpacks too that would have little missiles on it, or like a little grappling gun on the back of those. And some of the vehicle molds, like I talked about, were from previous series, like the Superpowers series, and others were from movies like RoboCop, Police Academy, and Silverhawks, which were other movie lines that Kenner had produced figures for. And I think some of the accessories might have been from them too.
Yeah, there was a bat plane at one point that was taken from Silverhawks or Thundercats or something.
Mm-hmm. I might have a picture of it as we go through here. I just wanted to showcase the classic Batman figure, the one that is most close to his film appearance. So I think he's pretty cool. He's got like a little, I think that's a grappling gun or a Batarang like launcher thing that would clip onto his forearm. A lot of them had that.
Bar.
That's right. Yeah. Had to have these big, huge like pieces that would fit on their arms. So that was definitely like a staple of these figures. And of course, we've got one of Robert's favorites, the Quick Change Bruce Wayne figure. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a Clark Kent figure, but this may be the first Bruce Wayne figure to be produced as a toy.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it could be.
It feels right.
There might have been a Mego version, though.
Well, one that
are you
could...
talking about it? Are you talking about the Quick Change version?
I think a Quick Change version. I guess the Mego one,
okay.
could you take off his mask?
I don't know. I just think I've seen them, but I don't think there were ones where you can like change them between it. But let us know in the comments if we're wrong on that.
That's right, and blame Andrew for it. So,
is there any information on the shirt design? Like, who designed this? What was the thinking behind it? Because now it's sort of in Batman Online subculture, as we all know. Ben, you're wearing it right now, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing this shirt, and we get comments all the time in terms of just like where'd you get that shirt? Like, it's the one that people comment on the most whenever I wear it.
People love this fucking shirt, and it is really cool. I had this figure too. You have any information on who made this actual shirt design? I know it's
all I know for sure is that the red is an abstract symbol of a bat. It's the Batman logo. It's just stretched and turned diagonally. So that's
it's
all
cool.
I know about it. Otherwise, I think it might just be like a retro kind of 80s design on there. Robert, do you know?
No, I've never heard anything else about it. I just, for whatever reason, like my entire life, I've just thought it was so like captivating. There's something, it's just so bold and like graphic. Yeah. It's really great.
It's bold to have the Batman symbol right on your sweater for everybody to see.
I'm not Batman. I'm Bruce Wayne.
That's right.
I mean, it's great. I just there might be more information about that since obviously they're selling T-shirts on that now.
Yeah.
Since Ben bought one, and it's just cool because it's like a subtle Batman shirt design, right?
Honestly,
like you have to double take.
It's a decision that probably nobody would think that someone would be talking about it this many years from now. It's probably just
later.
like, throw some shit on his shirt. It was probably just like that.
I know it probably
Bruce
was.
Wayne cosplay.
Yes,
it is cool. This is one of my favorite ones, I think.
Yes, and the fact that it's Michael Keaton's likeness is really cool. That's the first Bruce Wayne figure. So as I'm talking about this, I have to give a shout out to Robert specifically because he actually created a custom Bruce Wayne quick change figure for me. For I think was it Christmas one year, Robert?
Yeah, I believe it was a Christmas gift.
Yeah, so this is spectacular. In a minute, I will take us back to our kind of full screen mode, and I'll show you my figure that's here with me up close. But these are just some photos for the YouTube viewers. I mean, he looks awesome. So, Robert, I'm going to let you speak a little bit about what your process was and maybe how this figure came to be.
Okay. Well, basically, this had been kind of an idea that I had had for years, and I knew Zach was very into the same, original toy as well. So I kind of knew that, there's a NECA has a deep appreciation for the King of Batman stuff. They just haven't been able to produce that much of it. But they have a great classic 89 version of Batman. So I wanted to kind of take style from that. I believe the body was one of the Hunger Games contestants. I don't remember which one. But yeah, a lot of, the shoes and the turtleneck and stuff are sculpted. The head is actually a shrunk down version of the Hot Toys figure. There's a lot of stuff in customizing online that's maybe in a legal gray area. So I got a cast of that and painted that all up. Made accessories. I cast the cowl of the 89 NECA Batman figure, so you could kind of have that as a nod to that. And you can actually, I don't know if the listeners can't see, but in the middle there, where the lamp is on the table, it's the gun that I was talking about. I made a small version because I have a lot of Star Wars figures. So yeah, just little things like that.
Awesome.
I have so much love for this figure. I think as a kid, anything where a figure transformed, I felt like I was getting two action figures. So anything like that, I just have a lot of love for. So yeah, I just tried to do a little updated version of it.
Yeah, those toys always had so much playability to them, like more playability that you could, put in a costume on a toy. I always think is really cool.
Well, it fulfills the superhero trope, it fulfills the double identity thing where you feel like you have a better representation of the actual character because now he can be both.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to just change it to this mode so you guys can see the figure
there he
itself.
is.
Oh yeah.
There we go. I got not as good as the pictures that we are looking at on YouTube, but he's got his little, it's like a little walkie-talkie thing in his hand here too. So Robert made me that accessory. And his mask is...
clean this cowl.
His mask, his cowl is like a removable
nice.
piece, like it is a cast of the
That's awesome.
little mini NECA figure. So yeah, he's really, really awesome. There, we got to find my camera. I'm going in reverse.
Under Armour should really get a deal with DC on this one too.
Oh, yeah.
Like make an Under Armour version of this. That would sell like crazy, I think.
I actually keep...
Great.
There he is. I keep both figures side by side, so I have like the original. There we go. I'm trying to look at my screen at the same time, so I've got the original
holding his own
one.
cowl here. That's cool.
Yeah, I loved it. That's the original Quick Change Bruce Wayne figure, and of course here's Robert's update. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to get. I definitely
awesome.
wanted to give him a shout out because of that. It's like a direct interpretation of an updated version from that line. So awesome. So we talked about Quick Change Bruce Wayne. And like I was saying, as far as the likeness for Keaton goes, the likenesses for Keaton and Nicholson, as well as costume accuracy, were leaps and bounds better than Toy Biz, as we were talking about at the beginning. And like I said, this is the very first Bruce Wayne figure ever produced. So
nice.
Let's see. Here's that Sky Escape Joker. I wanted to give a close-up on him. His face actually changes color if you dip it into warm water. I believe will change it to flesh tone, and cold water changes it back to white. Unfortunately, as it ages, that figure generally just has kind of a off-white color to his face. Like, it doesn't look terrible, but it's not quite either way. But I think that was supposed to recreate the scene where Vicky throws water onto Joker's face and the flesh makeup runs. But it's still like a really cool thing that they did. I think that's just like an interesting feature that they would add to the character.
It's fun.
Yeah, they really didn't have to do that.
The helicopter pack here, though, looks like it's going to cut his fucking head off.
It sure does. It's very close.
Yeah, it's...
more violent ending to the 89 than what we got.
That's right. That's what Burton really wanted to do. You're hearing it here first, exclusively.
Oh, man.
And I believe this is also the first example of a Wayne Manor Batcave combo playset, and this is the Kenner's Batcave Command Center. They really got their money's worth with this one because Kenner re-released this exact set, I think, about 5 times. One for The Dark Knight, one for Batman Returns, one for Batman Returns, one for Batman Forever, one for Batman and Robin, and one for Batman the Animated Series, possibly even the New Adventures of Batman. So they really, worked the hell out of this mold and just repainted it. They put new stickers on the screen of his little command center each time to, fit whatever line they were releasing it in. Now, there was a Batcave set that was released by Toy Biz. I did not include it because we were talking mostly about Kenner, but it's not anything to do with Batman or with Wayne Manor specifically. It's just the Batcave itself. So this was always really cool to me that you have the front of Wayne Manor, you've got a little garage door, and then you've got the Batcave on one side. You've got like a vault that you would open, and it's got a little thing that you stick Bruce Wayne on, and it's got a little belt on both sides. You turn this little knob at the top, it spins around, and you have a Batman figure there, so it looks like he's changed costumes when you close the door. And he's got a little area under his computer center where you can put like the accessories and I guess his quick change costume too. And he's got all these screens with pictures of the Joker on it, at least for this one. And on the back, if you flip it around, you can use the back side of the kind of command center for the villain's lair. So this one, it just looks like a chemical factory. And it's got like a catwalk at the top. With it's got a little trap door on the far right where if you twist it, like the figure would fall. And there's a little cup that came along with it. So I guess you could pretend that was a chemical tank and drop Joker in it. But they just recolored it for every villain. So this is also Penguin's Arctic lair. It's also Riddler's lair, and they just painted it green later. And then it's also Mr. Freeze's lair, and they just painted like icy. So it just kind of works for every villain's lair. Yeah. But Yeah, I just love this set. I've got multiples of them. It was something I loved to play with as a kid. You can't see it from the picture, but the top of it actually had like orange kind of stained glass windows that would you could let them like drop in, so you could actually like let Batman stand on it and drop down onto somebody that was coming in the door. So I think that's kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. Zach, when you were growing up with this set, did you have the Joker on the catwalk yelling, "Did you ship 1,000,000 of those things?" down to his legs?
I did not. I definitely played with him a bunch. Like, I would just let all the bad guys fall over the railing, and I never had the cup that this came with because I never actually got this set out of a box. Like, it was always secondhand from like a flea market or something. So sometimes it would be missing certain parts, but yeah, I just love playing with just about every figure on this. And my favorite part is the fact that it has like the little spinning like costume change room. I just think that's one of the coolest features.
No, that's great.
Yeah, but here's some of the vehicles.
That costume change room is very funny when it comes to the animated series, because it is very clearly sculpted to be Keaton from from those two movies. So it's like it's very weird to see like this animated Bruce is going to go in and spin around and
yes, it's like a super
action.
It's like a super muscular like sculpt of a suit that's like flat against one of the sides that you put Bruce Wayne on. Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, like I said, they wanted to get their money's worth by repainting the shit out of these.
Yep.
So here is the Kenner Batmobile. The Toy Biz Batmobile did not actually have a roof on the top. It just had like a convertible windshield, interestingly enough. So this one, to me, I like is much more accurate to the film Batmobile. And in the pictures for the YouTube viewers and listeners at home, I just have some images of the box art as well as the Batmobile out of the box next to the figures, so you can kind of see its scale and proportion. But yeah, this is it's a great toy. I never had this Batmobile specifically. I just had the Toy Biz one. But I did have the Bruce Wayne Custom Coupe, which I believe we'll talk about when we get to Batman Returns. They didn't actually release it for this line, which I actually like a little bit more.
This one's the most accurate to the movie, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. This is
the all those gold rims.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever had that one. That's awesome though.
Alfred puts those rims on there. He pimped it out.
And I heard you like gold, sir. So.
You've been watching a lot. You've been watching a lot of MTV and VH1. I thought it might be a nice addition. So
Black and gold has a lot of drip to it. That's what the kids say these days, right? You got bat drip.
Alfred's woke.
It's got drip, sir.
Here we have the Batman Turbojet Batwing, specifically based off the Batwing's appearance in the first movie. So I think that's pretty cool. And the wings actually pop off to turn into a separate vehicle, which I think is kind of interesting.
This Batwing was the toy. This is my favorite one ever. It was like pretty big too for a kid, especially.
Yeah.
And having the Batwing toy, it was the best. The best.
We saw in the commercial for our $10 Patreon episode, it is a big toy. Like, it showed a kid holding it, and it is humongous.
Size of his hand.
I wanted it so bad and could not get it. Like, I guess my parents couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
But they got me. There was released at the same time. It was a Batwing, but it was like a water gun.
Yeah,
I remember
that.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to run around the front yard playing with that thing, trying to convince myself it was this.
Good enough. You know, Robert, I never actually had a Batman Forever Batmobile, but I had the Batmobile that was like a water toy, and you like filled it up with water on the back, and it would just shoot off the hose. So that was my best thing, the best thing I could get as far as a Batman Forever Batmobile.
So, Zach, it says on the packaging 3 vehicles in one. So it's also the Batwing, but also a motorcycle?
Yeah, I'm not sure where the third vehicle comes from, to be honest with you. I never owned the toy myself, and from the pictures, all I can see is this kind of tri-motorcycle thing with 2 wheels on the back and one on the front that it transforms into.
Does it turn into a jetpack? Is that the middle one where he's like wearing the wings off of it?
Oh, maybe you're right.
Oh,
It's
that
kind
could
of
be
hard to
it.
tell even from our picture, but it may be like a jetpack. I thought it was just the underside of the Batwing, but it could be Batman like wearing it as a big jetpack. I think
Right.
you're right.
I don't
there you
remember
go.
ever changing it. I remember it was always in Batwing state for me. That was just that was how I wanted to do it.
Didn't want to mess it up.
I said this in our Patreon monthly meetup, but I want to say this here too. I learned what the word share meant metaphorically from this toy, kind of.
Yeah.
Meaning, I was so young, I went to kindergarten, and one day, and they were like, they said, we're going to have sharing time. And I thought it was going to be literally sharing toys. So I bring this Batwing toy to it, and it ended up being just sharing a story, or I don't know, whatever we were thinking as little kids.
Your heart was in the right place, Andrew.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're a better man than me. I never would have brought a Batman toy to share to school.
they
Hell
let
no.
me do it. They let me do it. So I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to share my Batwing, everyone.
It was good on you. And of course, I talked about it before, the Joker cycle. I just think it's so insane. There was actually a Joker motorcycle that Toy Biz produced, and it was a motorcycle with a sidecar that Bob could ride in. I think I included a picture. Maybe I will definitely show you guys later, but it is really funny to see Bob in the sidecar. But this is just really cool to me. I like that it's a Joker motorcycle. I like that he has his own vehicle, so that's pretty cool.
I want to
It's
talk
like the
about.
face that launches off.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this too. Growing up, I'm looking back now, talking with everybody my age. Like, of course, I love the Joker. He's great in the movies, but I had some of the toys. But for me, it was always about the heroes, mainly with the toys, especially. But
Yeah.
I've talked with a lot of my friends, and like when it came to Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, a lot of them preferred the bad guys, and I think a lot more people are like that than I originally thought. Because I was just so hero-centric.
I think it depends too, because like for me, if I already have a Batman and Robin,
Yeah.
fill up all the villains at that point. I don't
That's
need
true.
more Batmans and Robins. I basically
true.
grew up with Keaton's Batman,
Yeah.
with that
Superpowers,
superpowers
yeah.
Robin going up against Bane from Batman and Robin. Like that's how
Yeah.
Right,
that was
right,
my
right.
play set.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you were saying, Andrew, with what your friends are saying, because if it wasn't the Keaton Batman, I generally only had a couple of him and some variants, but I was really interested in the villain figures, and I'm already very villain centric myself. I think they're really interesting, so
Yeah.
I don't know, they always were very colorful, so they really drew my eye. But there are, I think, basically like the Keaton Batman, Batman Forever, and like the animated series. Those Batman I was really interested in, and then like other than that, it really was the villains. I think I collected a lot of Jokers just because they had a lot of variations of Joker too, as we'll see. They got their money's worth with him.
I was just talking with my friend about Ninja Turtles toys, and he was like, "Oh," or Ninja Turtles in general. He's like, "Oh yeah, my favorite was Krang," and I was like, "What?" But whatever. Everybody's different. I get it, but it's just never like how I thought about things.
Yeah, the dopey Shredder was actually my favorite figure. He's all hunched over and bare chested and stuff, but he was actually one of my favorite figures as a kid because I really liked that character.
That's cool.
All right, we've talked enough about Batman '89. Not for me, but for the viewers anyways. And, well, we haven't even got to the break yet. This is going to be a deep dive. As much as we've talked
Welcome
already.
to hosting, Zach.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are jumping into Batman Returns, Kenner yet again. And as you can see, this is a little ad right here. They did reuse the Batman figure quite a bit again. You also have a new Quick Change Bruce Wayne figure. Although this is definitely a prototype, or at least something used only for the advertisements, because the Quick Change Bruce Wayne of this toy line had a purple turtleneck and not the black one with the graphic on it.
The purple one comes with the custom coupe.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Oh.
So the Quick Change one still had the same shirt?
I think it was the same figure, yeah.
Well, I'll
I
be
only wear
damned.
purple when I drive.
That's right. I'll be damned. So he just... I can't believe they just re-released the same figure again in a different box. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Alfred, I want all my shirts to look like this in different colors.
That's right. Custom embroidered. We also, in a little bit, we'll talk about these two figures on the side, Skyrocket Batman and Firebolt Batman. as they're a little bit unique as far as what was advertised and what was released. But like I said, this is 1992. We are into Batman Returns territory. The Dark Knight line was renamed Batman Returns. And I do want to say, as far as the waves of the Dark Knight collection, it was up until Batman Returns. Like, they made it in 1990, and in 1991, they were still releasing figures. So the market was still pretty hot for Batman toys with Keaton's likeness based in the Tim Burton world. So they just renamed it Batman Returns, and they got some new card art. And this is, of course, to market alongside the new film, Batman Returns. So for the most part, the only thing that changed was the packaging, as the Batman molds are still being used from the first series. So the torso doesn't really have the new like deco sculpt that the Batman suit does in Returns. So that's one unique thing that's really just the exact same figure. And, of course, the Batman figure still looks like Keaton, but we did get a new figure for Penguin, we got a new one for Catwoman, and we got a new Robin figure as well, which we will talk about. Unfortunately, Penguin does not bear any resemblance to Danny DeVito. He is strictly a repaint of the Superpowers Penguin figure, but the articulation is taken right out of his knees, so he cannot bend them anymore.
I got too fat.
That's right. He just can walk stiff-legged. This is just some other imagery as far as the advertisements for the Returns line. The only other sculpt for the Batman body that I see here is actually the Laser Batman, which I actually had one or two of as a kid. He's silver, and he has kind of a waffle texture to his outfit. Like it's almost like it's
quilted almost.
Yeah, like Shocker from Spider-Man. I was like, I guess it's quilted just to keep his body insulated from the laser that he's firing. But yeah, he's pretty cool. And we do have one of Andrew's favorite figures and one of mine as well up here, which is Deep Dive Batman.
One of my favorites too. I loved him.
Yeah, I love the yellow.
Yeah, I'm not normally a fan of yellow as a color, but when it comes to scuba diving, it's the Jacques Cousteau reference, I guess. It just works, and I love that bright yellow. And you guys know, but people on the podcast, I don't talk about it too much, but I scuba dive myself, and I actually asked some people about like why did Jacques Cousteau choose this yellow, and it was just marketing. It's fucking doesn't fucking mean anything with
funny.
Scuba diving. It's one of the first colors. So when you scuba dive, you lose colors the farther you go. You can't like red fucking turns to gray almost. Like, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
It's Roy G. Biv, right? So yellow's the third one to go. So it doesn't mean fucking anything, really, when it comes to the practicality of diving.
Yeah,
but the figure is cool.
It is. I love that figure, and as a kid, I played with toys a lot in the bathtub. So any Batman figures that were specifically like water Batman figures, I loved playing with them in there. This is morbid, but I would reenact Penguin's death in my bathtub. We had like a little like place to put the soap on the side there, and I would say the thing where it's like, I need a cool drink of ice water. And then I'd just have him fall over, and I would like, they actually had little Penguin toys, his rocket-powered ones or rocket-pack penguins that came with him. And I'd have him like, like drag them right into the bathtub.
He did the pole bears thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, though, man.
It's morbid, but yep, I would reenact that in the bathtub. So,
did you have this air guy, too, with the fucking turret guns? I had this one as well.
I have a loose version of that figure as a kid because I recognized the pattern painted on his outfit, but I did not have like this accessory thing. I had the other three figures, which is the Laser Batman, Arctic Batman, and Deep Dive Batman.
I always like the plain figures and this kind of thing because you could just move them around like fucking like they're flying and imagine them flying. So yeah, it was really cool. It also reminds me of that older cartoon Centurions because you have like the water guy, the land guy, and the air guy. And so we have. Well, I guess all three if you count the other ones but Batman's usually land anyway, but I always like that concept of like air, water, land.
Yeah, and I love this is what I was talking about earlier with the variants. As long as the variants make sense for the environments featured in the film, I really dug them. Like I was like, oh, Arctic Batman, he's going to go fight Batman or he's going to go fight Penguin in his Arctic lair and there's snow around. Like, it makes sense to me. Or Deep Dive Batman, we saw in the commercial, he is like swimming through the sewer, which I don't think Batman would want to be barefaced in the sewer of Gotham City, but still he's swimming through the sewers of Gotham, and he's got his little kind of like scuba diving little jet there. And I really liked that as a kid. I was like, okay, he's like going to go fight Penguin. He needs to be ready to take him on in his element. So it made sense to me.
If it was the Warner Brothers regime that was in charge of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, we probably could have gotten him change into a new costume at the very end, just like in those movies. Cause
that's right.
They set up like, oh, another costume for the ending for more toys.
If he had to go to like a secret mountainous area that's all snowy, and it's like a lair at the end, and then we have a live-action white suit Batman. That would be fucking awesome, man.
Especially with this bubble on his head that actually has the form of the ears on it. He borrowed that tech from Mr. Freeze.
That's true. That would be so cool, man.
Yeah. Oh, and I did include a close-up of these guys. These are two of my favorite figures, like
Look
we were
at
just
that
talking
shit.
about. Scuba
I'm
Dive.
gonna buy that guy again. I
You
need this yellow Batman in my life again.
He's very easy to find on eBay. So you got Deep Dive Batman, Arctic Batman, very cool. And these are the other figures I talked about. So, of course Kenner banked again on having those same molds for Batman and not really updating them any, just repainting and repurposing. But we do have Penguin, Robin, and Catwoman. Penguin, SuperPowers repaint. Catwoman is actually one of the most accurate figures in the line, being that she's actually in the movie, and she does appear in a costume that she does on film. So it's got like the stitches are actually sculpted on there, which I think is pretty cool. They're just
cool.
They're not painted white, unfortunately, but I do think that's really neat. Yeah,
I wonder if there was a conversation about her having a whip. Like, do the kids need this?
I don't know. They might have just thought it was
I'm glad
a weapon.
she does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just like, well, Indiana Jones has one.
That is true. That's probably how they.
They just don't have the same dirty mind dominatrix thing
that Andrew does.
It's the whole get-up, man.
That's right. And of course, the most exciting figure from this line is Robin himself. I know me and Robert definitely wanted to have a discussion on this because I have seen multiple bits of information on this figure in different sources. I'm inclined to believe that this figure is sculpted mainly to resemble Tim Drake in his redesigned costume at the time in comics. But there is a lot of conversation as to the fact that this sculpt is based on Marlon Wayans' appearance because he was set to, play Robin in Batman Returns. So I think at the time that they developed these toys, maybe they just knew Robin was going to be included in the movie. So they based him off of his current appearance in the comics. But Robert, I'll let you say what you think about his sculpt as far as his face and hair goes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about some of the elements. Mostly his hairstyle is very like 1992 like box. You know what I mean? Like Kid and Play, that sort of thing.
A flat top.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's one of those things where people kind of notice that and retroactively went, hey, maybe this was supposed to be this way. Yeah. Or if there is any actual truth to it, but it's definitely interesting. It was something that I hadn't necessarily thought about until I started seeing those theories, and it did kind of make me go, maybe,
Yeah, it would have been interesting if you could see the figure with a slightly darker paint job, just so he didn't look Caucasian, so we could see like, oh, if this is really what the figure was supposed to look like. But he really is great. I loved this figure as a kid, even though I knew Robin was not in the movie. Robert's not either, unfortunately.
I know, I tried.
None of us are.
Even though Robin wasn't in the movie, it just seemed like he fit so well with the Keaton Batman, and I loved his cape because it's a like duotone cape with the black, fabric on the outside, yellow fabric on the inside. I just thought it was so cool.
He fits the Keaton Batman better than my SuperPowers Robin.
Yes,
looking in hindsight,
he's got pants on.
He's got pants on. Well, yeah, because it's the Tim Drake design, and even the logo I noticed on the box art, is the same logo as on the Robin solo series that they had for Tim Drake.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Zach, that I think this is basically like, well, let's just do an action figure of Tim Drake for a couple reasons. One is that, as you said, it just looks closer to him than like, I feel like there would be more to this looking like Marlon Wayans than just the hair possibly, resembling it, even though I don't think Marlon Wayans' hair looked like this either during that time. And the second reason is that in the original script where Robin was written in, he never actually wore the costume.
That's true.
He was just in a mechanic's uniform with like an R on his chest. He didn't have the full formal, like the yellow cape and stuff. So I think it's purely, let's just do the Robin action figure, and hey, he's not in the movie, but hell, we already decided to put him in, so let's just throw in the Tim Drake one, and that's it.
They want to sell some toys. That's really what it's about. We got Batman, and people want Robin. They weren't too concerned with movie accuracy, I feel like, at this
Definitely
time.
not. With Penguin looking this way, too.
And I think Penguin looking that way supports it, too, where it's just like we're not necessarily just doing the movie version, because otherwise Penguin would be more accurate.
Yeah, it's almost like an Elseworlds version of Batman Returns, where Robin exists and Penguin looks a little classier, so...
This is like the Sam Hamm Batman Returns script.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you there, Ben. There could have been some ideas taken from that script directly, but I love this Robin figure. I love that he has like almost an army green coloration for his pants, his gloves, and his like shoulder pieces, and the tunic is just like a scarlet red. I mean, he just looks really cool. He definitely could fit in with Keaton's Batman and Tim Burton's world. And here's some of the vehicles from Batman Returns, which I love that they have a Batmobile, so the sides fire off, and you get just the Batmissile shape. Oh, yeah. I just think that would be such a cool thing to play with. I never had it as a kid, never saw it in the store. So that's pretty cool. And you got the Bat Ski Boat, which would be cool to kind of reenact the ending of Batman Returns when he's, flying through the sewers and everything like that. And then Robin's got his own vehicle, too, which is Robin's Jet Foil, which I think is pretty awesome.
I don't think I've ever seen this jet foil before. This is crazy.
I actually do have a loose version of that, but it is actually a repaint of another vehicle that was in the Dark Knight collection. So I think that's kind of interesting. They just made it a Robin vehicle. The other one had a little bat on the front.
For the listener, it looks like it would have been a jet, like he's riding on it, standing up like it's a jet ski.
Yeah,
that's
what I was thinking.
But it's got little bat wings on the bottom, and of course it's red for Robin in the center. And I think the idea is it's like a hovercraft because it has the word jet. Well, I don't know.
That's how he gets around in the sewer.
It kind of looks like it has little turbines in the wings. So I think, it kind of looks like it would be a hovering thing.
What do you think? What are those things called in Louisiana, or like the swamp vehicles?
What I'm talking about.
It's got a big fan
things
on the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Maybe that's what this is. He just scoots across like the surface of the water on this. So
is it a fan boat?
Yeah, that's it. A fan boat.
Yeah.
This is Robin's personal fan boat. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. I just like to imagine that it's all like sewer related. The only water source in Gotham is a sewer. So Batman and Robin are just shooting around in the sewer tunnels with these vehicles. I think that's pretty awesome.
Alfred really has to clean the bottom of this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got those Gotham-sized turds hitting the sides of them. So
Robin's like, can I at least cover up?
Yeah, Batman's on the inside of the Bat Ski Boat, nice and cozy. Robin is just out here in the elements.
Some killer croc patties arms, down there, bro.
They gave him pants, and that's enough.
Oh yeah, that's enough for him. And this, of course, is my favorite vehicle, the Bruce Wayne Custom Coupe. And just like Robert was saying, this is where the purple shirt Batman is from, with the same abstract logo, the little bat logo on the chest. You can see him. For the listeners, I did include the box art, and one of them you can actually see Bruce Wayne on the side there, so you can see that it includes the figure. But this was such a cool vehicle because it actually had 2 seats in it. So what you did was you put Bruce Wayne in the, I think the back seat. So when it's driving along like normal, you see Bruce Wayne. But if you pull on the tail fin of the vehicle, that seat slides back and there's another seat, and you would put Batman in that seat. So it would look like Bruce Wayne just changed his costume really fast in the vehicle. Now it's Batman, and the fin is sticking out. The sides are out. You've got little cannons on the side, and you've got the Batman logo on the back and on the cannons too. So it kind of like transforms into a makeshift Batmobile. So I thought that was super cool. And this was actually re-released for the animated series line. I think that may have been the only time it was repurposed, but it has to be one of my favorite vehicles from any of the lines. There's something about it just being kind of a normal car being transformed is kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a quick change car as opposed to just a quick change Bruce.
Was this a repurposed sculpt from something else? Or
I could not find any information that it was.
Okay.
You would think that it might be because it looks so normal, but
yeah.
I'm not sure. I couldn't find any information of it being reused from another line that Kenner
It
owned.
almost looks like something from Mask, or what is the one?
The Shadow?
No, it was a cartoon, and it was like there was like
Mask was one of them for sure.
God, I cannot remember it.
Well,
yeah, my brain's shorted out. But
that's all right.
It's very,
whatever
very
it was,
similar.
Yeah, whatever it was, it would have to be like before 1992. So it could have come from something, but like I said, this is just such an awesome toy. Any kind of transformation features just kind of doubles that playability. So I always thought it was really cool.
I never even saw this one growing up. This one's new to me pretty much.
Yeah, this is one I actually remember getting in the box. So I was like pretty excited about it. And I did want to talk about this very quickly. So these are two figures. I initially was wrong in my memory, thinking that they never got released and they only were advertised. But they are different from the sculpts that we see here. So you could take this as a prototype. So Skyrocket Batman and Firebolt Batman, they were released, but they are definitely different from how they appear here, especially Firebolt Batman. If you see now you guys that are listening can't see, but we can. That Batman has articulated legs. He has bending points in his knees, and he has a different sculpt on his thighs, and he also has a different sculpt on his arms. So this Batman had a lot of articulation. However, that's not the one that was released. I actually have pictured to the right Firebolt Batman. Now,
it's totally different.
His legs and arms are different from the regular line of from the regular sculpt of Batman toys, because he kind of has a weird stance. I believe his arm, if you squeeze I'm trying to think, if you're holding him from the other side, if you squeeze his left arm, the right arm will kind of karate chop. But their sculpt is different, so they actually have a return sculpt on the shoulders and the thighs, which mimics the armor on the suit from that movie. But he still has the same torso and head from the Dark Knight collection. But he also came with this torso chest plate that you attach to him, which did include the actual kind of deco ab sculpt from Returns. So this is the closest that you can get to an actual movie-accurate Batman Returns figure.
It looks
from that
great.
line.
Yeah.
I like that shield from Firebolt Batman too. That thing he's holding, the one that was unreleased.
Yeah. I think it's
shield.
interesting. Yeah. So these figures, the names stayed the same. I think Skyrocket Batman may have been changed. I'm trying to think. I must have lost it at some point. I think I wrote down what his new name was, but it wasn't Skyrocket. It was like Sky something Batman. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that they changed so much from their prototypes that we see here to the final figure, and that Firebolt Batman is the closest figure to Batman Returns if you attach his little chest plate. And that figure was actually released later from Kenner's. It was like the Batman movie line, and it was a 2-pack with him and Catwoman. And it actually included this figure here. So I thought it was kind of interesting. All right. I did want to ask before we moved on, because I've talked a lot, what is everybody's favorite figure so far that we've talked about?
Ooh.
Robert first, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's hard for me to say between the quick change Bruce Wayne and the Robin. Like, those are two of my favorite action figures of all time.
Yeah.
There's just something about them. I don't know if it was the time that I got them or whatever, but there's just something about them that I love so much. So yeah, I can't pick.
That's all
Don't
right.
make me
Those two,
choose. Don't make me choose.
those two were good choices. What about you, Andrew?
Scuba Bat has a lot of nostalgia, I gotta say.
Gonna
And
go with deep dive. Yeah.
deep dive, and then also the Bat plane, man. Come on.
All right.
the
Yeah.
best.
You could
One of
choose
the
a
best.
vehicle. What do you think, Ben? What's
Yeah.
your favorite so far?
You know, I did grow up with the Toy Biz Batman, as I was talking about, and it might surprise some viewers considering I got the shirt, but I've never owned the Quick Change Bruce Wayne. I've never owned the Quick Change Batman.
I know what to get you for Christmas now.
Oh man.
Please do. That's why I'm putting it out there.
I got eBay open right now, man.
I've never owned it as of this recording. Hint, hint. But
$60, everybody.
He's
They're
getting
all
a loose
sushi.
one, Andrew. He's getting it loose.
Oh, you're getting it loose. $30 loose.
Well, never mind then. But yeah, no, I would have loved that and the custom coupe. I think that sounds amazing. I actually did have a form of a Quick Change Bruce Wayne, but it was not Keaton. It was Kilmer. I have the Kilmer
shit.
version of that.
We'll talk
And
about
I've
that.
I've got a quick change of Lamont Cranston into the Shadow.
Yep.
Yep.
So I did
Oh,
have
shit.
quick change figures. My Lamont Cranston's nose got shaved off because I think I put the thing on him wrong. But at one point,
Shadow's got a
Not
big
Alec
nose, though, right?
Baldwin.
not when it's Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah,
Shadow.
I do love the quick change Batman. The Kilmer one is he's like a buff Kilmer.
Yeah.
With like green wings that sprout out. That's kind of weird, but
Yeah.
it looks like the quick change Keaton one is a little bit more accurate to the movie. Not necessarily because of the design, because obviously he didn't wear that in the movie, but because of the actual Batman you're turning him into.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that and the custom coupe, I think, just hands down sounds like that. I would have loved that as a kid.
Awesome. Ben, I've got extras of Bruce Wayne, of Keaton Bruce Wayne loose. I'll just send you one. You don't have to. Nobody has to spend $30. Trust me.
Nobody has to spend $30 on me.
And now it's time for a quick bat break.
Here at Chat of the Wild, our Game Club podcast, we have been using our lens of truth to do deep dives on the Legend of Zelda series, in order, covering 1 to 2 dungeons each episode. Our show also looks at Zelda-likes, such as Crusader of Senti, Golden Axe Warrior, and the bizarre journey of For the Frog, the Bell Tolls. Join us right now as we play Ari and the Secret of Seasons, our first new release since Season 1, or check out our past seasons breaking down nearly 20 action-adventure titles. New episodes drop every Wednesday, here on the Greenlit Podcast Network.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with Barkbox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right. One free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the Barkbox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you. Alright everyone, our human owner took us to watch Batman Returns. I gotta say, I liked it. They didn't really get my shirt right with the design. But other than that, it was pretty good. What did you think, Penguin?
Well, I thought it was garbage. A heap of shit. Did you see that guy on the screen? He looked disgusting. Flippers. Green goop vomiting out of his pie hole. Stringy black hair. Dark circles around his eyes. That's not what I look like at all. I am a nice, dapper gentleman. A dapper bird of prey. What do you think, Scuba Dive Batman?
What in the heck is poontang anyway? I don't even understand that at all. It's fucking stupid. And you know what? There was no underwater scenes. Batman's never wearing a yellow suit. So I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs down. And no torpedoes either, so fuck that shit.
Can you even give 2 thumbs down? I thought your hands were kind of stuck that way, stationary.
I'm doing the best I can.
How about you, Robin?
I mean, it would have been kind of nice to see myself there, but you know, at least I have pants. I saw a couple aisles over. There's a version of me. He doesn't even have pants. So you know, just look on the bright side. Be positive.
Yeah, we kind of lucked out when our kid got you instead of the superpowers one. I do not want to look at those white legs all day.
Shining in the midday sun.
Was there any parts that you guys liked about it?
Well, I got to make out with Michelle Pfeiffer, so that was good with me.
That certainly is a plus.
I almost did. I got on the bed, I guess, and was doing a weird thing with my hands, making a bat and pointing a pointy umbrella at a cat. I don't know. I gotta tell you guys, the guy that played me was kind of disgusting. There was something weird about him. He was just making all these innuendos. It's not appropriate for children at all.
At least you'll never have to worry about being replaced as a toy, because they're never making a toy of that guy.
Yeah. I think I look a lot better. I got a nice top hat, a monocle that I actually keep on, unlike that guy. I got a nice black suit, little fancy tuxedo, and I've got a helicopter umbrella jetpack. I mean, he did ride a helicopter, but, it wasn't a jetpack. I think that's pretty cool.
It was lame. No scuba scenes whatsoever.
I mean, the ending was in the sewer. I don't know if you want to dive into that. Deep dive Batman.
You have to cover the actual jaw at that point, but yes, it's possible. You put the regulator in, and then you're ready to go.
Can it filter out all that penguin shit?
You don't need a filter because it's connected to your scuba tank.
I'm not educated on the ins and outs of the scuba diving. Wah.
That's okay, that's why I'm here.
Look, guys, I gotta tell you, now that we're back from the movie, I heard the kid's getting some new action figures. His birthday's coming up, so, I through the grapevine, I heard that the Catwoman is coming. We're gonna have a Catwoman toy around. I'm just letting everybody know that I called dibs first.
Scuba Catwoman?
There's no scuba Catwoman.
What? That's the pass. Pass then.
She's with me in the movie.
Well, that doesn't mean shit.
You don't get dibs, Cobblepot. That means she wants to be with me. I'm the Batman.
They can't resist this fine Roman nose.
I'm the Batman too. I'm just a very specific version of Batman.
Hey, she's only gonna be with you if you get to be played with in the bathtub.
Yeah, the cats don't like water.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That doesn't make any sense. You're right about that. It has to be some who the fuck could be with me? I'm getting lonely now just thinking about it.
Whoa! Look at that box. Who is that guy? It says Legends of the Dark Knight, Lethal Impact Bane.
That guy's scary, man. What's going on with that guy?
He looks very intimidating. This lethal, that's not a childlike term.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous of that, actually.
I mean, look at this guy. He's big and muscular. He's 7 inches tall. We're only 5. And he's got hair flowing out of the back of his head.
This is a little bit different from the rest of us. I guess our kid is getting older, huh?
I'll leave this one to you, Deep Dive Batman. I'm gonna hook up with Catwoman.
Yeah, I guess I only got a little bit of hair on the back, but let's go try to make friends.
I'm sure he'll be just like us.
Hey there, Mr. Lethal Impact Bane. Wah. My name's the Penguin, Batman Returns toy line, Kenner, officially licensed. And this is Scuba Diving Batman. We got Robin from the Batman Returns toy line. And that's it. The quick change Bruce Wayne ran off on us. So, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Oh my God! What is going on? This guy's a voice. Are you from hell?
What's wrong?
Ah!
You're big and scary, and you sound that way too. We don't get out much. We just saw Batman Returns, so we're not very familiar with the source material that our plastic figures are made from. But yeah, you're pretty scary. Are you a scary guy?
Well, yeah, I'm Bane.
I've heard the best way to establish dominance is to beat up the biggest guy in the room. Let's get him!
Wait. I'm still in the box. Ah!
Get him!
He's not so tough.
Put a torpedo in his ass.
And you're listening to
Superhero Stuff
You Should Know.
Woohoo!
It's time to talk about Batman the Animated Series. So, from 1992 onward, several lines were released in the style of the best Batman cartoon ever created, Batman the Animated Series. No arguing, not from anybody, not even in the comments section. I know that's the best cartoon ever created.
No one's going to argue this. I know.
Absolutely not. The initial release...
Well,
look at the nostalgia.
somebody on the internet will maybe, but...
That's true.
You know.
It's just
I don't
the
think
nature.
our audience will. Like, look at the video game coverage. Our highest viewed video game coverage from Andrew has been on that BTAS episode.
Yeah.
BTAS Lost episode.
It's just the nature of the beast. The initial release for Batman the Animated Series included several characters from Gotham City, including rare figures like Clayface. This line eventually shifted to Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, with most of the same styling and a few new characters from the animated film, which we're going to look at in a minute. These figures are easy to track down, and fans of the cartoon's unique styling will enjoy the molds used, but they do not rank among more valuable Batman figures, so they're pretty easy to find. However, Batman that we see here, Combat Belt Batman, is pretty expensive. I think the cheapest I've seen him was like $50 in the box, which it's hard for me to spend that much money on a figure. I do have him loose, but not with all of his little accoutrements, but he was my favorite figure as a kid from this line of toys because, of course, he just looks like the one in the cartoon. This is the classic, like, gray suited Batman. His cape is not blue on the interior. It's just the same capes that they use for the Dark Knight collection and Batman Returns, but he still looks awesome. And he's got a little grappling hook and an extra belt to put on top of his other belt. But yeah, he is really awesome. I just love this figure so much.
That's pretty cool.
What's the year roundabout for this? The release for this?
Right, it's still 1992. Series. The cartoon came out in 1992. Yeah, so I imagine the line was released at the tail end of 1992. I don't think it was 93 yet.
Okay, that's cool.
I do actually have a funny story. I was so mad at myself as a kid. I wanted an all-black Batman figure so bad, and I didn't have one at the time. So I took my gray Combat Belt Batman and took a Sharpie and colored him black.
Oh, man.
And I was so mad at myself later that I was like, why did I do that to him? So I had to
customize him.
I did. I customized him. But it was my only gray Batman, so I was pretty mad at the time.
Is that Wizard magazine influence? I gotta say, man, strangely enough, I watched this show as it came out, of course. It was a weekday show, I believe, in the beginning, too. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but I never got the toys for this.
Neither did I.
Oh.
I didn't have them either.
Yeah, it's weird, huh?
I definitely
look
remember
great.
having a couple of them. Go ahead, Robert.
I said I had very few of them, weirdly enough, and I don't know why.
Strange, right? That's weird that we're all like that.
Yeah. I'm a little bit younger than you guys, but I did remember having a number of these as a kid, but not all of them. I never had the Penguin for sure, because he looks really cool, but I remember having like Two-Face and Robin and Scarecrow and Joker and Batman, and I did have Man-Bat. So
Man-Bat looks sweet.
He is. This is a big jump from superpowers. So for the listeners at home, this is an advertisement for the animated series figures, and basically it's just showing a number of the figures from the first line that were released. And you do actually have a quick change Bruce Wayne figure for this line too, and he's got a lot more deco-y elements to him, but it is supposed to be the Bruce Wayne from the cartoon. Man-Bat was one of my favorites. His legs did make it hard for him to stand up, but he had a little wheel on his back where if you spun the wheel, his arms would flap up and down like his wings.
Oh,
so he
nice.
was sick. Two-Face unfortunately had a little chain around his neck with his coin on it, which was immediately lost. I don't ever remember having that coin, so it was gone pretty quick. And Joker has this awesome backpack that you fill up with water and a little like squirt gun like cannon on his arm and a laughing gas mask that he can put on. So he's pretty awesome. And Scarecrow's cool too. I think this is actually one of the first Scarecrow figures. I don't believe there was one for Superpowers, but
really,
I think almost every single Scarecrow figure that we're going to talk about has a little translucent plastic top to his head that's colored that goes down to his eyes, so you can make it look like his eyes are glowing if he's in the sun, or you put a light over him. Yeah, that was a feature.
On the Batman Begins one too.
Yeah, that was a feature for a lot of Scarecrow figures. I think that was just a really cool idea that they had. And as I was saying, it did transition to the Mask of the Phantasm film. So you actually have a lot of figures that were variants for Batman, but were really cool. The one to the bottom is actually a Batman sculpt that's slightly different. His arms are different, his eyes are a little bit more squinted, his ears are a little longer, and he is painted with the older Batman logo, like you would see in... I'm thinking of Robin's Reckoning the most, like in the flashbacks. I can't remember I cannot remember if Mask of the Phantasm actually shows him in that costume. But it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's cool
it's
that you see
mainly
him.
Robin's reckoning. It might have been the mechanic in that flashback when he shows up with a bad Batmobile. And he's like, I need your help to create the new one.
Yeah, so it's that classic Batman symbol with no yellow oval. We also have a new sculpt for the Joker. So already in this line, we have 2 sculpts for the Mark Hamill Joker. And this is the jetpack Joker. So he has like a purple flight suit on. Comes with a little jetpack and a helmet. And that was specifically from the film, which he wears at the end, like during the finale, to try to escape. And you got a little grappling. Actually, this is like a repaint of Combat Belt Batman. This kind of white gold suited Batman. And then you have this other figure that I think is fantastic. I had these artistic shots here, but this figure is like he looks like a knight, but it's like a stone armored Batman. He actually has a maroon, like a maroon colored bodysuit, but the gray pieces are like stone that you click on top of him, and he has a shield and like a faceplate that comes down. So he was a really cool figure to me as a kid. I just think he looks really awesome.
Seems like that's from like a lost Ra's al Ghul episode or something.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Now
I
we
love
also,
this one with the fat,
Go ahead.
like a fat bat symbol on the bottom right with the battle axe.
Yeah, that
That's,
classic
I think
look.
that's my favorite of these 4
Yeah,
here.
it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
Especially because
awesome.
it's a rarity to see that specific symbol.
Yeah.
The Batman Mask of the Phantasm line is also infamous for having a pretty big spoiler with our Phantasm figure.
Yeah,
So, as
God
you can
damn
see
it.
here,
Whoops!
no sticker over the face, nothing. We have basically an unmasked Andrea Beaumont with the Phantasm cowl and cape next to her in the plastic, and then like the little scythe kind of gauntlet and a gas gun. So I thought that was
Did you guys
really
have
cool.
this spoiled for you when you were kids?
Nope.
Did this fuck you
Nope.
up?
Nope.
I think
never saw
so.
it.
This is 92, and I think we're still in a little bit of the Ninja Turtle era. So I think I was really focused on Ninja Turtle toys for me at this time. So maybe that's why I missed some of these. I'm just trying to think of like why I missed this line.
Also, okay, maybe that's for the line, but for this specific thing with Mask of the Phantasm,
yeah.
like it's widely considered to be the greatest Batman film of all time. But at that time, it was a flop.
Yeah.
It kind of just showed up. I'm like one of the few people who saw it in the movie theater, and it was like there for like a weekend or something. It was not a huge hit. So like it's kind of easy for this specific action figure to get missed. I personally did not get spoiled by the action figure because I did not know this thing even existed until years later.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I
Same
don't
here.
know if that ever happened to other people.
Yeah, I never saw her in the box growing up. I don't. I had some of these figures, but honestly, whenever I see this box art, I don't even remember seeing them in a box. I just they just happened. they were showing up at Christmas or a birthday or something, and I had a couple figures, but I actually
Well,
did
that
not
flea
have a
market.
figure. Yeah, I didn't have a figure of the Phantasm until I was an adult, and
Till I
it
was
is a really
already
cool
a man.
figure. That's right.
Until I was a man.
But it's funny to me
was
that
blinding.
they spoiled it. You know, they didn't. There's some figures like this, like a Dr. Claw figure for Inspector Gadget, where they put a sticker over the face in the box. So it's like, ooh, I wonder who it could be. But no, this one was a big spoiler there. But
We don't care.
it is cool.
It's made no money.
It is cool that you can unmask her, and she's got all these like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a costume you can put on. So that's
I don't know why they
that is
couldn't have
neat.
just put it as the Phantasm in the box and then instead like with true identity revealed when you buy it. you
yeah,
know?
that would have been a really cool way to get you to buy into it.
Yeah. Then you buy it and then you take the top off and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I love the Phantasm look in general. Any kind of like evil druid, fucking hooded evil looking guy like this, and like the Spectre or something. That's the design I'm drawn to for some
Yeah.
It's like
reason.
they also gave her a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
true.
guess it's got a lightning bolt coming out of it, but I always imagine it's like a gas gun because there's like the
Yeah, that's how she
fog
gets
and
the fog.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I need this for effect. Psh.
So as we move forward, later Kenner renamed this line "The Adventures of Batman and Robin," releasing several figures that were not released as part of the Batman the Animated Series line. The most famous being this one right here, Harley Quinn, which, as we all know, came from the cartoon show. That is her origin. So she is the very first Harley Quinn figure to ever be created. She's pretty awesome.
It's pretty good for a first action
Yeah.
figure.
This is
Like,
pretty much
considering
on
some
point.
Oh yeah,
Considering
Yeah.
some other people what they had to put up with, like this is pretty good. You had a pretty good Harley.
I remember seeing this in the Warner Brothers store, And
really?
I didn't buy her, or I didn't want her as a kid because I was like, ew, a girl. You know, that was my thinking. And they had the machine gun Joker next to her with like the gray trench coat, and I was like, I gotta get that.
Yeah.
And that it's just funny to me in that outfit, like that's how he looks in part of Phantasm. So I wondered if that was like an idea they just didn't release for that set. But this is a pretty cool part of history because it is the first Harley figure. She's got a bang flag, so it's a giant gun with a bang flag that was re-released or reused for a couple Joker figures as well, and a kind of gauntlet attachment that is a big box with a punching glove on the front, so you can actually fire a punching glove out of it, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that feature, those action features. And this is just kind of like a highlight to see some of the other villains from the animated series as toys. And as of this toy line, this is the most Batman villain figures that were ever produced. So, like, out of all the other ones, you have, like, you basically either are getting the ones from film or the Superpowers line, which still was kind of limited because it focused a lot more on the heroes, and you only had a couple of Batman villains, but they nearly had just about every Batman villain from the show as an action figure. So what we're seeing here is Poison Ivy, Joker, Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze, Catwoman, and Killer Croc, and of course they had others. I did want to ask you guys a question, and you may not have like a well-educated answer because you guys didn't have a lot of these as a kid, but was there ever a villain from the animated series that you wish would have gotten an action figure that did not?
Ooh. So these are the main ones, these six?
These six,
well,
and
plus Two-Face.
You got
right?
Two-Face, you got Penguin, and you have Riddler, and Ra's al Ghul also got a figure, and Bane, and Man-Bat, and Clayface. And that's it, I think.
That's most of them, though.
You do have
Mad
most
Hatter,
of them.
did he get one?
He did not during this line.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. He does get one eventually, but there was no Mad Hatter release for this toy line.
I don't love him anyway, but yeah. I mean, they got the heavy hitters for sure. It seems like they got all the cool ones. I mean, who else?
I kind of wish they
had. That would have been cool
with the thing. Yeah. With the touch of doom. Yeah, the death touch.
Yeah.
With the schematics on the on the packaging.
He's holding it. He's like studying it as he does it.
Yeah, I would have been like, huh? Yes, I see.
I think I would have liked a Lockup figure. So he was pretty cool. Like Lockup.
That could have been cool.
Yeah.
That could have been cool.
He's a big guy.
I mean,
fucking the Adam West guy, fucking Grey Ghost would have been fucking awesome.
Yes, there you go. That's not a villain, but yeah, a Grey Ghost figure
not a
been
villain,
really cool.
but yeah, that would have been sweet.
A lost opportunity.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's just a question I wanted to throw out there because there were so many variations of figures for this line. I mean, this is the biggest line of characters, I think, so far for any Batman line. They're not just giving you a ton of Batman and like one or two other figures. You have all the villains and a couple variants of certain ones.
I like that Killer Croc has an actual little croc with him.
He has a little alligator with him. That's his pet.
My pet.
So this is something I wanted to bring up because it's got an interesting story. So we're looking at the Robin Dragster here. And out of that whole Batman the Animated Series line, this is one of the rarest toys to come out of the line. Oh. So the Robin Dragster, there's a lot of speculation ranging from the vehicle because it was discontinued due to safety deficiencies. Oh. And that it was made solely for the Canadian market, and also that it was a mold for the vehicle was destroyed in a factory fire. So there's all this different speculation as to why this toy is so rare.
Jesus.
So it's not so rare that you can't find it. I did find pictures of it, so obviously some people have it. I'm sure it's one of the higher priced items if you did want to look for it. But I also wanted to point out that this was a repaint of a kind of dune buggy dragster toy from the Dark Knight collection, which our YouTube people can see to the bottom left here, which it looks just like the Robin Dragster, which it does kind of look like a little dune buggy to me. But the color scheme has been changed to kind of fit Robin's green and red and yellow outfit.
So I have a question about this. So what was the exact problem with the safety concerns? The yellow piece that shoots out, or?
Maybe. I couldn't find a lot of information. The most information I could find was on the factory fire where the mold was lost. But a lot of people said it was just created for the Canadian market. I personally never saw this toy as a kid. I never saw it, in stores. So it could be that the people that own it, maybe it was just available in Canada or Europe at the time. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting piece of history because it's more rare than any of the other toys from this line specifically.
So I did a quick eBay search, and it's $500 in
There
box.
you go. Something to get Ben for Christmas right there.
500. Buy me a Robin Dragster thing on your
Forget Quick Change Batman.
on your
man.
link tree.
Oh. So, repaints of many of these same molds were continued up until 2003 with lines like Crime Squad, Mission Masters, and Batman and Robin Duo Force. And we can actually see some advertisements for Crime Squad right here. And that Ra's al Ghul action figure I spoke of is to the right of this, which is just from the Batman Adventures line. Which to
really souped him up.
Yeah, he's got a golden mask, like an Anubis mask, because he's the head of the demon. He's got a cool sword, and he's got a little, I don't know, some kind of butt plug shooting gauntlet. So he is a cool figure, but at the time, and I know specifically, he is not very difficult to find. He was not very popular at the time. I used to see him everywhere, and I know that they gave him all that armor just to make him look a little bit cooler.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, even though I think for us now, it would have been cooler if they just did the damn Ra's al Ghul design from the cartoon. But yeah, this mask comes from his debut episode when he unmasks and finds that it's Ra's underneath, even though he knew it was him. Yeah. That stuff. So like that makes sense. But this other stuff, this like Shredder type look to it, I'm like, that's interesting.
I like it. I mean, I liked it as a kid. I did have a Ra's al Ghul figure, but it does make him a little more toyetic, I think. It makes him more exciting for a kid to look at. And the Crime Squad Batman figures, like I said, they were mostly repaints. There are a couple Batman figures that have slightly different sculpts, like there's more added to their costumes, like gauntlets and kind of deco-y shapes to them. But really, they had more gimmicky accessories, where it could be like part of their backpack or part of a vehicle. That's kind of what was the whole gimmick for Crime Squad, was it's releasing these figures, but they have these new kind of like smaller personal vehicles and stuff for them.
Where'd you first learn the word toyetic? Because I know
Joel
exactly where I
Schumacher.
learned.
Yeah.
Toyetic. Oh, really?
From the Batman and Robin special features. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So I learned it from Freakazoid.
Freakazoid. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Thank you, Robert. So there's a moment in the cartoon where they say the word toyetic and they pause. Toyetic means blah 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 blah. It's like a whole joke. I've never forgotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
And this Supersonic Batman's a lot of red and blue here, so it looks like Superman a lot.
He's very patriotic.
Yeah.
And here is the Duo Force Batman line, which is actually famous for having the first Batgirl figure, even though she was not the
first one
traditional.
ever?
I think so, and she's not even the traditional color scheme. She was sculpted and she was put out just for the Duo Force line. So I don't think the classic color scheme. So the classic color scheme Batgirl.
Okay, there were some other Batgirl figures. I'm looking at now.
Sure?
There's Batgirl Migos and shit. Unless these are all custom.
I would think so. Yeah,
Maybe the first 5-inch Batgirl figure.
Maybe that's what it is, because Migo definitely had one.
Okay. So the first 5-inch scale Batgirl figure, and this one, the color scheme one that is correct to the television show, did not come out later until it was like a repurposed repaint, like multi-pack, which I think is at the time when Hasbro was bought out by Hasbro. So that's the only thing I could find for her. So it's kind of weird that her first debut for the animated series was at part of this ancillary toy line, like another name, but not even her real color scheme. So I did think that was kind of interesting.
Decision.
Yeah,
it is. They probably were like a girl figure. Maybe they didn't think it would sell well.
I guess so.
They just messed the colors.
Yeah, it's just a weird decision. I mean, she looks kind of a cool design, I guess, but
I think it was
Barbara not in the show until it switched over to Adventures of Batman and Robin.
That's right. She was in a couple of early episodes as just Barbara Gordon.
Right.
Like
they wouldn't have had an action figure for just that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Heart of Steel and stuff like that. I think she was in that when she had appearances, but Yeah, I don't think she was Batgirl maybe until season 2 of the animated series.
Yeah,
For Shadow, yeah. So yeah, maybe she hadn't
Yeah.
come out as early as these other figures did, but it is interesting to me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So after Batman the Animated Series, Kenner has moved on to the Legends of the Batman toy line. As we can see from this advertisement right here, it was released in 1994 with brand new stylings and molds, including renditions of Elseworlds, storyline designs, as well as recent additions to the comic books from the Nightfall storyline. So that's why we had this kind of Nightfall Jean Paul Valley version of Batman in this toy line, which is also pretty awesome. Also included were a number of first-time characters to the toy line, like Nightwing. But despite being widely distributed, this line never gained the popularity of previous Batman lines and was canceled fairly quickly, unfortunately, because I actually really loved these as a kid. There are some unique,
awesome.
There's some unique and one-of-a-kind figures in this line that can be found for just a few dollars each on online auctions or eBay. So it is a worthwhile group of figures to collect, but definitely not an investment collection. But yes, I loved these as a kid. They're totally different sculpts, and they're all like very comic booky. Just from this artwork, we can see right here the advertisement. You've got some Elseworld stuff going on with First Mate Robin, Buccaneer Batman. You got Laughing Man Joker. You have the 100th edition Batman, which I actually had this as a kid. I'm so glad I have it now. But as a kid, I was like, I can't play with this. You can't bend him or anything. Yeah, he's just like a statue. And I did have the Asbat figure as well. I never had this Deluxe Energy Surge Batman, but there was a lot of toys from this line. And I included this one because for each one of these, I want to go over like the main Batman figure. And to me, this is like the classic Batman figure of this toy line, which is Crusader Batman. And he has pretty close to a comic book accurate costume. It's not quite a gray bodysuit for those listening. It's kind of a gray blue, like a light gray blue bodysuit, and he has kind of a dark navy blue cowl, mask, gloves, underwear, and his booties. So he's got that, and he's got that same little butt plug shooter that Riddler had. That wasn't Riddler. That was Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, so he's got the same kind of little spear thing going, but I love this figure.
How you stop crime in Gotham.
Hell, you won't do it again after that. Look at the size of this thing.
Shoot it up their ass.
Joker might enjoy it.
No lube.
No lube. Raw.
But I love this too because his cape is actually like sculpted plastic. It is not a fabric-y cape with a clip on. It is it's just like it has this really dynamic kind of comic book pose to the cape, so it's like swooping behind him.
The kind of vibe I get, especially from the artwork and the font and everything too, is it's a slightly more mature look. I think it's like a Batman toy for a little bit older demographic. Probably.
Yeah, they definitely are more comic book accurate, and each one of them came with these cool collector's cards, which I think was done by the same artist that did the artwork for the box art, which by our next episode, Andrew, I will have the answer to that because I know I can find it. Because I think his stuff is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Here's some of the other figures.
These are cool.
Yeah, I wanted to focus on the Elseworlds ones. I love the Cyborg Batman in the bottom right corner. I had him as a kid. He's got like a glowing eye. So he's got that same kind of scarecrow feature on the back of his head with the translucent red. He has a bionic arm, a bionic leg. He's also has a butt plug shooter. So I'm telling you, that's how they take on crime in Gotham. But he's also...
It's the official terminology.
Yes. All these figures are not repaints. They all have very distinct poses and sculpts, which I think is really cool. So it's not just like a repurposing or repaint of the same body. And they all have these cool like poses to them. So you've got
it's not quite McFarlane, but it's like getting there.
It is. It's very detailed. Yeah. I also had this one that's like the Batman on a black horse. He looks like the Headless Horseman, but he still got his head on. He looks awesome. I thought he was really cool as a kid. The horse doesn't move or anything. It's just is very static, but he looks cool. You've got swashbuckling Batman here. You've got it's called Future Batman in the top left. He's got kind of a turquoise suit on. He's also got a butt plug shooter. He's got a kind of not quite an Azrael backpack thing, but something similar, like it's kind of wing-shaped. You've got this chrome Knight Batman, which looks really cool. He's got a shield and a sword. And you also have an Archer Batman who's got kind of a forest green instead of a black part to his costume. So the cowl and gloves and boots are that forest green color, and he's got kind of a warm gray. He's got a little bow and arrow. And then this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he looks like he's ready to fuck some shit up. He's got like a burgundy outfit on. He's got a shield, and he has a mace kind of weapon here, and a fully masked Batman. So he's ready to beat some heads in with that.
Like an executioner, like a medieval executioner.
Yeah, he does kind of have a look like medieval Batman. So yeah, he's awesome.
Who's the curvy sword dude again? What's his name?
I don't remember his name. He is kind of like some kind of knight Batman. Knight, like dark. I'm sure they called him like Crusader or Knight or something like that. Yeah, he's all chrome plated. So I thought that was kind of cool. These
I don't think I had any of these. Man.
These are some of the figures that were also part of Legends of the Batman. You had a very comic book accurate Catwoman from the 90s with her.
It's the best one so far.
Yeah, with her purple bodysuit and thigh high boots, elbow length gloves, and she's got the black hair coming out.
She come with a net.
Yeah, you can throw nets at people with this Catwoman.
Shit.
So you can throw a net on them and then beat the shit out of them with that whip. And then you also have Nightwing, which is actually based on, I think, one of his first appearance costumes.
Yeah.
Where he's got this kind of like golden necklace.
This is what he was wearing during the 90s. It was like very close to that the disco wing suit. But I remember, I told Zach this before.
Yeah.
This was my first exposure to Nightwing as a character. And even though it said Robin has become Nightwing, I flat out, when I bought this figure, I thought that this character was Native American.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He's very tan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is true.
I think I'll show a picture
of
the
could
Riddler.
be like a feather kind of thing or something.
Yeah, it's just there's something about it with the skin tone and that hairstyle and everything. It kind of had that feel to it.
I totally get it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll look at the Riddler figure too, but this is what I talked with Robert about. I always thought the Nightwing and Riddler were like another ethnicity because they were so tan. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They're just like not all white. I just assumed like that's what it was in the comics, so I just never really thought about it. But yeah, I really like this Nightwing figure. I had him as a kid, and I didn't even know who Nightwing was at the time because my exposure to Batman was through the movies and the cartoon, and it had not gotten to the New Adventures yet. So I was just like, oh yeah, this is Nightwing. He's cool.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the placement of his right hand where it's cupping.
Yeah,
it's very suggestive.
Not the best idea. We'll let
My name is Dick.
We'll let the listeners look that up on their own. And then these
they already figured it out.
These are some of our other villains. So we do have the clacking teeth Joker. It's got like a little button on the back where the mouth will open and close, so Joker can chomp the shit out of people. I really like that. And he also has a little bang gun with the flag sticking out like a solid piece. Here's that Riddler I was talking about. I have a bunch of him because he's kind of like squatting so he can shoot off his little gun, but I have a ton of him. So I actually have one at work that sits down on a shelf. I've got one in my studio that sits on a shelf. Like, I just like that I can make him sit. But I did think that Riddler was possibly Hispanic or also Native American, just because he is very tan looking. And then we also have this Elseworlds Two-Face. This is one of my favorite figures. He's Pirate Two-Face. Yes, I love him. He's got the split costume. He has a peg leg and a hook sword combo on his bad side, which I think is pretty awesome. And I wish they would have made a figure of a normal Two-Face with this head sculpt, because it is the closest like accurate head sculpt I've ever seen for like a comic book Two-Face. It is really cool looking up close.
I like this Joker face. I mean, it's a little bit wild, but I
like his hair.
This is one of my favorite Joker faces probably out of these toys.
No, I like these sculpts are legit.
Yeah, I love his fingerless gloves too.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I didn't notice that till you said it. Yeah.
He doesn't care about fingerprints.
That's true.
He doesn't, yeah.
And this is a closer look at the Asbat figure, which I had as a kid, and I think he's really cool. He's got a little like gauntlet that shoots out a fire spear, so that's pretty awesome.
This is a wild red design for Batman.
Yes.
That's for sure. It's cool though.
Yeah. So, after Legends of the Batman, Kenner made one more attempt at the Elseworlds design concept with their Legends of the Dark Knight line, but again, it failed to gain traction on the market and was canceled. This line, though, does seem to have more value among collectors, and many of the figures are molded in styles more appropriate for display than play. The molds are creative and inventive and bring an artistry to action figures that is seldom displayed. That said, they are still entry-level collectibles and can be found for just a few dollars. So these guys are big. As it says, massive, chiseled, ripped.
Now, was this about 97?
Actually, no. This is
96,
this is still like, I think 94. Yeah, this is still around 94 because
before
Batman Forever.
Before Batman Forever. Yeah.
Because this really, like you were talking about the McFarlane influence, this feels like they were like, oh,
yes,
this
definitely.
is coming up. Like, we got to do something about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for the listeners at home, this is an advertisement, so it does literally say massive, chiseled, and ripped in different fonts for each word, and it's Legends of the Dark Knight, premium collector series figures. So these figures are huge. I have a number of them. They are, Scarecrow himself has got to be like 7 inches tall. He is, he's really cool. You got a Scarecrow that swings around his scythe. You got a Batman with a big cape that's got like red claws coming out the top of it. You also have
Spawn,
like a
man.
Yeah, this is kind of like Spawn Batman.
Very McFarlane, as Robert was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And you got like a Bane with hair coming out the back of his head, like a mane of hair, and you got like all kinds of Batman figures. Robin, I think Bane and Scarecrow may have been the only villains from this line. Oh, there was a Penguin too. I'll show you a picture of him in a minute. He is awesome.
I'm completely unaware of this until right now. I didn't know these figures existed at all.
These would have been your favorites, Andrew.
They are cool.
The Penguin is one of my favorites. We'll look at him. He actually has a jacket made of birds, and his hands look like his hands are mutated, but it looks like he's giving the Star Trek symbol. Like it's the two finger. It's like these two fingers are merged together. So he is interesting. But I also included a picture of like the main Batman figure from this line, because he's the classic kind of blue and gray, but his cape...
Is that the one we're seeing here?
Yes, to the right. His cape is humongous. It actually is... You have to put it together. Those two pieces on top separate. So
I
in the
see
box,
the line there.
Yeah, in the package, it's separate, so you have to put it together. But he has this really vibrant, like deep royal blue cape and a dark gray bodysuit that actually has I guess you want to call it like a patina, but it's like a shaded paint, like shadows are painted into it, into the sculpt. So, and if you look at the cowl too, he has a little bit of black shading painted on there. So he's really cool looking.
He's very like, excuse me if I get the name wrong. Is it Jim Kelly?
Kelly, are you talking about Kelly Jones?
Yes, that has just the bat ears that go on for weeks.
Yeah.
2 feet long.
Yeah.
Bat ears.
I've never been a fan of
him
the
in the
super big
Batmobile.
ones. Yeah,
Me
it's too long. Maybe in a dream sequence or something in the comics, but
kill you with these.
But it's a little too big.
Kelly Jones, he did the what was it? Gotham After Midnight or something like that. Is that right?
Along with
There's
Vampire.
like Red Rain,
ones,
Crimson Mist, all that stuff. Yeah, all the horror centric ones. So that does kind of look like his design. There's another advertisement you can see. Oh, they did have Joker. That's right. So they actually had a Joker that's Laughing Gas Joker, and his torso blast off. So his arms and his outer torso blast off. So he looks super buff. But that breaks off, and he
does
actually
look like he's been to the gym
his
a lot.
His
Joker,
more gaunt
Joker's
body.
working out.
Yeah, that blast off. It's like a fake shell, and he has a scrawnier physique, holding a bomb, a laughing gas bomb, like cradling it in his arms on the inside. And that's really cool. And he comes with this weird little like clown like jester. That is really like Spawn to me. It looks like the Violator's kind of face.
Of the Iz's from the Max.
Yeah.
Is like,
Okay, I gotta say, guys,
bigger.
This is my favorite Robin. This Dive Claw Robin. This fucking cape is cool, bro.
I had him. He is really sick.
Splattered like green and yellow kind of thing. I mean, it's definitely a departure, but this could definitely fit in like the current DC Metal series.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ended or not totally, but it's like it's obviously got that kind of more horror aesthetic, right? So
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Yeah, I love this line. I thought I had a picture of Penguin in here. There he is. So Penguin is right here, and he's here. His umbrella is also made of birds. There's like a bird texture all over it. But
God,
he is really
creepy,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah, he looks foul. There's an advertisement we're looking at, guys, at home. There is a man bat
pun?
in this series. What's that?
He looks foul.
He's foul.
Oh, I did not even mean to do that. Look at that. It's ingrained in my subconscious. But yeah, there's an advertisement where it says, "Welcome to the nightmare." And it's like really dark lighting. Man-Bat has red lighting on him. It looks like blood. But there's Man-Bat, Joker, and Penguin. And they are ready to kill your friends and family. They look really horrific.
Man-Bat looks sick, too. It looks definitely horror.
Let's look at this Batgirl for a second.
There is a lot to take in.
She looks...
Dude.
I don't know. It is definitely scandalous.
For the listeners, what don't we see in terms of skin here?
It's
Basically
like
except for
it's like Red Sonja meets Batgirl kind of with wings.
Yeah. She's got thigh-high boots, and
elbow gloves.
Her crotch is covered, her boobs are covered,
and
she's got the cowl on. Everything else,
her shoulders are covered.
That's
yes,
true.
that too. Yes,
and she doesn't have a cape. It's like wings. They look like mechanical, like bat wings. They're huge.
This definitely
this is how
looks
you
like,
go out to fight a crime at night.
Yeah, like it looks like somebody's mom saw this in Kmart and was like, "Billy, no, keep going. Don't
We'll get you another toy."
It's very, very fetishy, I would say, for Batgirl.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If only Robin and Batman had that much skin showing, I think I would feel a little bit better about it.
Jungle Rage Robin here.
I had him too.
Robin. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, he's got a camouflage cape on, like a red and green camouflage cape. It's I had a couple of these. I'm surprised this was not as successful of a line because I had a couple of these figures. I thought they were really cool.
This was what, 96 you said?
No, this is still 94.
94. I might have been in a very, very strong Power Rangers phase at this point. So I totally skipped this.
Well, that's the little thing on there saying 98, 96, something.
You're
on the
right.
side.
Well, look at that. I have been proved wrong. No need to correct me in the comments. What I had done was I was looking at I had looked at Legends of the Batman, and I think I was just looking at Legends of the Batman and the Dark Knight at the same time. So Legends of the Batman does come before Batman Forever, but our listeners at home and viewers on YouTube are getting a sneak peek into the future of 1998 for the Legends of the Dark Knight. So we haven't got. That's
shit.
right. So
It's good detective work, Robert.
that's right. We're gonna jump back in time in a little while, but yeah, this is a little bit later. So you're right, Robert. All right. So I think this is a good time to draw things to a close. We will wait until next week's episode where we talk about the rest of Kenner's Batman line, and that is superhero stuff you should know. Now, we're looking at some of our viewers' comments. So, Tway has said, commenting on the Creating the Hulk for the 90s, I have to be honest, I felt John Turman's draft, circa 1994, was amazing. That was the only script I read that was really true adaptation. I spoke to Turman about his script, and he sent me a photo of his sketch, which he was thinking of Bruce Willis as Banner and Hulk. He did mention to me that he didn't appreciate Hensley's draft, calling it dreadful.
Oh, man. This is kind of a story we're breaking here, I think, a little bit.
Interesting.
Of him wanting to do Bruce Willis as Banner Hulk, which I don't like that idea because I think the whole point of Banner is that he shouldn't be cast with an action star. Otherwise, like, what's the point?
Yeah. I don't know who I would cast as Bruce Banner at this time, but Bruce Willis wouldn't be my first pick, I tell you that much.
No, I wouldn't.
yeah.
I wouldn't have picked him for that. Yeah.
94 is that?
And yeah, 94, 90.
I'm gonna,
97 or so.
I'm gonna say
Robert.
Jeff Goldblum. He's sciencey, like kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
He was hot at that time.
Yeah. But that's much better in terms of a Bruce Banner
Yeah.
type. You know, I'm just like,
That's
Bruce Willis
weird.
is Hulk? Like, what's the point?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Plug him in as, classic Nick Fury or something, but not as Bruce Banner.
Right.
All right, so we have looked at this one. Let's look at our next comment. All right, commenting on ranking every Superman game, Part 1, Platinum Pagoda says, "How great of you guys to have Steve Tobolowsky as a guest. But seriously, Zach sounds exactly like him." I don't know who that is, so I don't know whether to be offended or not.
Okay.
So Stephen Tobolowsky is
go
a
ahead.
character actor who was Sammy Jenkins in Memento and Ned
Oh.
Ryerson in
Yeah.
Groundhog Day. He's saying that your voice sounds like that. You don't look like him. It's just your regular voice sounds like him, not your Joker voice. or
Oh,
anything
I
like
thought
that.
he was talking about the voice that I did when Andrew had me read that content, where it's like do a nerdy voice, but I did kind of like a Bebo voice or something. Okay, well that's cool.
No,
I'm
have
glad
you
I
seen
sound
you've
like
seen
somebody.
Groundhog's Day?
It's been a long time.
Okay. Well, he's the guy that's like
He's Ryerson, right?
Ryerson.
Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, he's the most famous character actor. You've seen him a million times. He's just never got that big. But he's what's his name? What's Bill Murray's name in that? Do you remember?
I'm looking it up right now. I've not seen Groundhog Day in a long ass time.
Yeah, me either.
He keeps approaching him every day, like wanting to sell insurance or something, and he's like Phil.
Of course,
Phil,
yeah, 'cause Bucky
is
Hunter,
that
yeah.
you? Yeah. He's that guy.
He was also rumored to be playing Alfred in Justice League Mortal, but I think he debunked that. So
Oh, that would have been
kinda
interesting.
yes,
Yeah, I had no idea. So I'm flattered that I sound like somebody else to one of our listeners. And I thought I had a unique voice, but that's all right. And Aaliyah Anderson responded to the Batman Forever script deep dive. "I read somewhere years ago that Two-Face flips his coin 3 times during the attack on Wayne Manor. Each flip is for a different person, and not just Bruce. The first flip is for Alfred, the second flip for Chase, and the last is for Bruce. That way, Two-Face isn't flipping his coin multiple times until he gets his desired outcome."
Okay, Zach, what do you think of this?
I think it is a very intellectual way to try to explain the fact that he was not written appropriately for the movie. It's a very good way to get around that, but I think we can also say that it was pretty much just not very good writing for that part.
Yeah, it's a fan. I feel like it's a fan explanation for that, but unfortunately, the movie just does not lend itself to that. If it was for Alfred, then Chase, then Bruce, then why wasn't there a shot of Alfred? Flips
Right.
the coin. Chase
Yeah.
flips the coin, and then Bruce. And then why is he always frustrated when it lands on the clean side? So
You're right. We already know what his outcome is that he desires. There is no conflict between the two personalities. He wants to do something bad. That's pretty much it. So, as much as I love Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face, that is a big issue in the movie.
yeah. I mean, they could have just had him flip it once, and that's it. Just cut the other versions.
Yeah, pretty much. They had to show him over there doing that. Got to get some more screen time for the Jones man.
Well, we did do that sketch on
Yes, we did.
on your Two-Face, just constantly flipping the coin.
Yep. That's how he lives his life. Well, I think that is it for our comments, our listener comments. So another big shout out to our Patreonites. There's Shasta, Liam O, Super Infoman, Douglas P, Dan D, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir,
Willet.
Jesse E, Jeffrey R, Scott V, Asgers Webb, Jeremy H, Alex of the What Mean Podcast, Ian Justice, Braxton W, Jared P, and Paul C. We would also like to thank our other supporters, Sparkageddon, SDCT Productions, Robert Schumann, Cookie Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B, Shamrock Balls, Ian H, Walter the Robot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, and 2N. Tway, I'm sorry. You even said that earlier. And Tway N.
Okay, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the Patreon, and thank you for your other support as well. And we'd like to, as usual, tell you about what's happening down at our Patreon. So it's patreon.com/superherostuffpod. That's patreon.com. And we have a $1 tier, a $5 tier, and a $10 tier. And we actually have other tiers, too, that get you some exclusive merch. But really, the main ones, those are just honestly, they're there just as a placeholder. The main ones, though, really are the $1, the $5, the $10. I mean, if you're part of the other tiers, thank you so much for sure. But if you're above the $10, you get all of this stuff as well. But the $1 tier gets you a shout out and our Patreon shout outs that you just saw, and then the $5 tier gets you a whole new show. This main show comes out every Monday, and then this whole other Patreon show comes out every Friday. You can cancel any time. It's weekly, and it's basically deeper dives and deeper discussions and things like that. So check that out. And we have our new $10 tier, which is a monthly meetup, we're calling it. And that means you can meet us, and we have like a little reaction thing all together and just have like a little old fun time all together online via Zoom or something like Zoom. So check that out, please. That's a $10 tier. And then our merch, you want to go to superhousepod.redbubble.com, and you can get all of our merch there, and also at superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Man, maybe this week, hold me to it. I'll add the fucking Joker shit. The Zach Joker. As of this recording, I haven't done it yet, but I will get to it. So anyway, the Ben Man and Indeed Wizard mugs, shirts, shower curtains, and everything, artwork by Wolfie Cruz. Also, you can see it on superhousepod.com or superherostuffpod.com. Check that out for our newly redesigned website. And also, please send us some audio clips, some fun audio to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. It can be anything, man. As you can see, we put the most random shit in the middle of the episode. So, yeah, it'd be great to get something weird from one of you guys, as long as it's not fucking incriminating. So yeah. And then please animate our sketches and hashtag it at the bottom in one of the corners of the video throughout the duration of the video. But if you want to animate our sketches, please, if you got the gumption and the gusto, please do that. And I am ThunderWolfDrew on Instagram and Twitter. ThunderWolf Lives, where I do a lot of Japan-based content, and that is on, ThunderWolf Lives on YouTube. ThunderWolfDrew.com has my portfolio and all that kind of shit. Check that out. And then the poster by Zach you're seeing now. Yep, and that is AminoRecon.com. Check that out. That is something I'm working on now. And what it is, it's going to be an Indiegogo production. Indiegogo is similar to Kickstarter, but it's a little bit better for indie films. And we're going to crowdfund this, and it's essentially, think tonally, it's Stranger Things and X-Files, mix that together, make it rated R, and rate it like Ash versus the Evil Dead kind of horror comedy. But then they also have Power Ranger style suits. So there you go. And there's alien abductions and shit like that. And it's kind of a dream project of mine, and we're all working hard on that right now. And I think that's it. Ben?
You can also check us out at Twitter at SuperHousePod, but everywhere else we are Superhero Stuff Pod. Instagram, Superhero Stuff Pod. We also got TikTok, Superhero Stuff Pod. You can hear Andrew rant about metal stuff.
That's only one thing that we do. But we also, hey Zach, if you want to put on some completely random shit, we're kind of treating our TikTok as our totally. I mean, it's gonna have our content too.
Yeah.
But if you want to do completely off-topic shit, I think TikTok is good for that, because Instagram is really dialed in and everywhere else. But TikTok, we can kind of let a little loose there, I think.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We're also on Vero at Superhero Stuff Pod. And I'm at benwanwriter.com. My personal Instagram is benwanwriter. And my YouTube channel is in the link below. You can also check out Early Bird, which is a upcoming kids comic in the style of Batman 66 stuff. So that's at earl-e-bird.com. Again, Instagram is benwanwriter. My cat's Instagram, my furry son, Alfie, is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you also have a cat, then you can get Whiskerbox, the only cat box for the crazy cat lady and gent, as it says on the website. So you can use our promo our promo link for that. And if you don't have a cat but you have a dog, then better yet, you can use the Barkbox promo that we did beforehand that you heard earlier in the break, where you can get the first month off free, valued at $35. Also, shout out to Comic Capital as well as the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse. Over to Zach.
Well, I really appreciate all the viewers and listeners for this particular episode, as this was my first time hosting. So any little bumps and hiccups and mistakes are just part of the charm. But if you want to see more from me, you can find me at ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. And if you want to follow me on the various social media sites, you can do that on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's all Zachary Jackson Brown Art. And you can just see more of my shit. So, Robert, where can people find you?
You can find me at Pim Particles on Instagram. That's where I do all my action figure custom stuff. Have my photos there. Some of the work in progress stuff. I'm too slow about uploading things, but art takes time.
This is
That's
Hank
right.
Pym. Hank Pym Particles. PYM.
Yep.
PYM. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Pimp articles.
Pimp
Pimp
Particles.
Particles.
I've heard that several times.
Before we
Awesome.
do our total outro here thing, thanks, Zach, man, your inaugural run. This was good, man, and we got you doing it again for the next one, part 2. So
I'm excited. You could tell I had so much shit to talk about
Yeah.
that we had to split it up into 2. I mean,
Now you know how it's like.
yeah, when we started
yeah.
talking, I was like, ooh, we're taking a long time to get to just 89. So, yeah,
Ben,
I'm excited.
Ben,
We'll make it cool.
Ben, your sabbatical continues, bro. This is
I know.
this is good, huh?
Well, also for you guys, I'm working on some video essays anyway. So
Yeah.
this is not the only avenue that you hear from me. But yeah, my sabbatical continues. I can't complain about that.
I'll make a different thumbnail for the next one, and it'll be the one we saw where it's like the Riddler and Two-Face. Like it'll be Batman Forever as the action figures for the thumbnail. That way we can
Nice.
maybe pull some people in that actually have some nostalgia for that too.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
All right. And I want you to do us a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
You did it. You did it right this time, Andrew.
Fucking, I'm trying over here, man.
Indeed.
Superhero Stuff You Should Know is part of the Greenlit Podcast Network.